Brooke Mendoza, Mendoza.
Thank you. Ms. Mendoza, where do you work?
I'm an investigator with your office.
How long have you been there?
I've been with the office since February of 2013 and an investigator since January 1st of 2014.
Okay. And generally, can you explain to the jury some of your roles as an investigator?
I review discovery, I interview witnesses, I request records, do subpoenas, evidence viewings, scene views, many, many things.
Thank you. In the course of, I guess, your role as an investigator, have you worked on Ms. Rodriguez's case?
I have.
And as part of your job duties as an investigator for Ms. Rodriguez's case, did this entail going to an evidence view?
Yes.
Okay. And can you explain to the jury what an evidence view is, where we go, what are we looking at?
You go to the department that did the investigation on the case, and they have every piece of evidence that they've collected, and we review all of those items.
And when we review those items, is it the defense team and then some representative from the Greeley Police Department?
Yes.
And is that representative from the Greeley Police Department usually the individual who is handling the physical evidence?
Yes.
And then do you take photos of those?
I do.
So I want to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit N, N, O, O, and PP.
All right, go ahead.
You're under permission to approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Ms. Mendoza, feel free to look through those and tell me when you're finished.
Yeah.
Okay. Do those photos look familiar?
Yes.
Were these photos that you had taken in the evidence view?
Yes.
And are these photos, I suppose a little redundant, but of evidence that you saw in the evidence view?
Yes.
Okay. Do these look fair and accurate to what you had seen when we were at the Greeley Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, we would move to admit NN, OO, and PP.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the court will admit into evidence exhibits NN, OO, and PP, and you may publish at your discretion.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Mendoza, so looking behind you, is this defense NN?
Yes.
Okay, and here, can you just kind of explain what we're looking at generally?
This is the bag that the department stored the evidence in and sealed. The red tape is the seal. There's a date that marks the date that they sealed it. And then the white tab, or the white tag in the middle indicates what's inside of the bag.
Okay, and if you can see, and I can zoom in, or if the photo helps, it says like at the top what is in the bag itself.
Yes.
Okay, and does this say head area debris?
Yes.
So I want to then look at OO, and I will publish that. Alrighty, is this OO?
Yes.
Okay, and I think maybe yours is just on its side.
Yes.
Okay, and so is OO fair and accurate to what we saw in NN? Of what is inside the bag?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And so what we're looking at here is debris, assuming, right, from the Greeley Police Department that they had collected inside Mr. Dickerson's home from around where his head was.
Yes.
Okay. And do you know that this is, I mean, how do you know this? Based on the label as well as your review of discovery?
Yes.
Okay. And at the kind of, I guess, singled out here, we see something that's like lighter color that isn't like the dark next to it. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. What is that? What is that lighter colored piece?
It was a piece of glass.
Okay. And how do you know it's a piece of glass?
By viewing it, I could see that it was a piece of broken glass. We turned it and looked at it, and it was clear in color, a little thicker of a piece, and was a piece of glass.
Okay. Now I want to show you PP as well, which is similar. All right, is this what you see as PP?
Yes.
Okay, and is this the same piece of glass that we saw in double O?
Yes.
Okay, it's just kind of like a closer up.
Yes.
When you were looking at this, did this piece of glass look more like a clear piece of glass that might have been dirty or like a dark broken bottle?
It appeared to be a clear piece of glass.
When you were doing the evidence view, did you, especially in this area, in this bag, would you agree that in the bag itself that we were looking at in NN had a lot of like debris in it?
Yes.
Okay, more debris than what was captured just on those photos.
Yes.
And were you able to shift through that debris?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see any other dark broken pieces of glass?
No glass.
Did you see anything that would resemble a broken Budweiser bottle in the head area debris?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mendoza.
All right, thank you. Any cross-examination?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
So to be clear, that's the one bag of limited debris around where the head was generally found, right?
Yes.
You do understand there's an allegation in this case that the body was moved, correct? You
Yes.
understand that, right?
Yes.
And so you saw the other photos of the scene with the very deep debris and around the couch and all those areas. Did you review that debris?
I can't say.
I'm asking, did you go over all of that?
In the house?
Correct.
No.
Okay. And so what I'm saying is those other areas around that, you don't know about that glass, do you?
I do not.
And so you would agree with me that if the body was moved in this area, that the area that you looked at in that bag would not be the area where the head originally was, if it was moved, correct?
Pause for speculation.
And I'm sorry, give me just a moment here. I'll overrule the objection. The witness can answer if she knows.
You would agree with that, right?
It could. I can agree with you. Yes.
You can't agree. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Briefly redirect.
Yes, go ahead.
Ms. Mendoza, did you look at other debris during the evidence view?
I did.
Okay. When you reviewed discovery as well as what you saw in the evidence view, did it appear that the Greeley Police Department had put a lot of debris that was found in the home into like empty paint cans?
Yes.
Did you go through all of those paint cans?
Yes.
Okay. When you were at the evidence view and you were shown well, I guess first let's start off. When you were prepping for the evidence view, do you have a list of what you're going to see?
Yes.
Okay. And some items on the list included debris.
Yes.
Some items on the list were not debris.
Correct.
The items that included debris you looked through.
Yes.
Okay. The items that the Greeley Police Department had that they considered debris that was collected from the home, you looked through.
Yes.
You never went to the home to collect any debris, correct?
I did not.
That's also not part of your job, is it?
It is not.
Okay. And all of the debris that you looked at the Greeley Police Department that they had put into evidence, did you ever see any type of dark broken glass?
No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Alfaro,
Good morning.
if you could please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name.
Karen Alfaro, Alfaro.
And Ms. Alfaro, do you know Stacy Rodriguez?
Yes.
How?
We're friends
Okay. How long have you guys been friends?
since 7th grade.
Okay, so a while.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself close friends?
Yes.
And have you guys kind of stayed in close contact, I suppose, since middle school?
Yeah.
I want to kind of talk about a specific time. Do you ever recall being at your cousin's house and Stacy had come to the front door when you were at your cousin's house? Do you happen to remember this one time?
Where she came in knocking and she was bleeding.
Okay. And do you remember if this was in 2021?
I don't.
That's okay. Do you remember if this was around the time that Stacy and Hosanna were together?
Yes.
Okay. are you aware that they met, around late 2020, early 2021?
Yes, because we used to work at JBS together, me and Stacy. We used to work in the cafeteria, and then I quit the cafeteria, and Stacy stayed, and then that's when she started seeing Hosanna.
Okay. So did you ever meet Hosanna?
Not sometimes, like briefly, when her and Stacy would come around.
Okay. You said you all worked in the kitchen?
Yeah, just me and Stacy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever use bleach when you were in the kitchen?
No,
No, you never cleaned with bleach?
no,
Okay. Do you know if Stacy is allergic to bleach?
no,
Okay, you don't know?
no.
Okay, that's okay. So I want to talk about the time that Stacy had come to the apartment. Was this, were you at your cousin's apartment at the time?
Yeah,
Okay. Were these apartments on 23rd and 16th?
yeah.
So 23rd Avenue, I think 16th Street?
The corner, yeah.
Okay, is it called the Corner Apartments?
No, they're like on the corner of 16th and
I see. Okay.
yeah,
Did you live there or was it just your cousin?
just my cousin.
Okay. And you just happened to be there and you recall one time within the span of Hosanna and Stacy being together that Stacy had come to the front door, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when Stacy had knocked on the front door, can you describe what she looked like to you?
Her her bottom half of her face was like bloody.
Okay. You say one half of her face. What half of the face was that?
Like her bottom half, like her nose and like down.
Okay.
It's, like bloody.
When she came and saw you, how was her demeanor? Can you explain if she appeared nervous or panicked or calm?
She looked kind of like scared.
Okay. Was she by herself?
Yes.
And did she tell you what happened?
Objection, hearsay.
Any response?
Present sense impression and excited utterance.
At least right now, I would sustain it, but if you want to lay some additional foundation, Ms. Trujillo.
Okay. When Ms. Rodriguez came to the door and, Stacy knocked on that door, did she immediately tell you what happened to her?
Objection, hearsay.
I'll allow this question, and ma'am, she's not asking what she said, she's just asking about the time frame. You can go ahead and answer.
No, she didn't really tell us. We just asked her like what happened, and that's when she told us.
Okay. And that was right when you saw her?
Yeah.
And were you asking what had happened because you are seeing her face bloody?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, again, I'd be asking to proceed under the excited utterance and present sense impression.
All right, Mr. McCormick, same objection?
Same objection, self-serving and lack of foundation.
Self-serving hearsay does not exist.
I will deny as to the objection as hearsay generally. I don't believe the foundation has been laid for the exceptions laid out by the defendant yet.
Okay, so sustained.
Yes, this is.
All right, well, Ms. Alfaro, I want to show you 3 photos, okay?
Okay.
Do you have a chance to look through those?
Yes.
And actually, I'm sorry, can the parties approach one more time?
Ms. Alfaro, when you looking at those photos, when Stacy had knocked on the door, is that what her face looked like?
Yeah.
Okay. Were there other times, I guess specifically, when we're talking about this incident, right? When Stacy had knocked on the door when you were at your cousin's apartment, those photos, does that look like then what she looked like when you saw her at that door?
No, she was like more bloody than what the pictures are showing.
Yeah, okay. Does it look like those injuries are the same injuries that she had when she showed up at the door, even if it was less bloody?
Yeah, the nose, yeah.
Okay, okay. And so those photos, were those taken pretty soon after she showed up?
No,
No, when were those photos taken?
I'm not too sure because I left.
Okay,
I was mad, so I left.
okay, okay. Understand. Were you mad because you saw her like that?
Yeah.
Okay. But those photos look consistent with what her nose injury had looked like, right? Maybe just some blood wiped away?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, I again move to admit.
Judge, I'm going to maintain the same objection.
All right, no, Sure. Noting the state's previous objection, I will admit into the record, and I'm sorry, can you give me the letters again?
Yes.
U, U, V, V, and
WW.
okay, all right, thank you. The court will admit into the record U, U, V, V, and W, W, and you may proceed, yes, you may publish and you may proceed accordingly regarding our bench conference.
Thank you. I'm just going to take borrow. Does this look like VV?
Yes.
Okay. And so is this what Miss Rodriguez had looked like when she showed up at your cousin's apartment?
Not like her face was more bloody than that. She like probably they were cleaning her up after I left and she like smeared it, but it was like coming down like really bloody.
Okay. Can you explain what the blood looked like on her nose when you saw her?
It was just coming out like.
Was it gushing?
No, not like gushing, just like
It was just bleeding out of her
Yeah.
nose. Okay. 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 I'd like to move on. Miss Alfaro, does this look like you to you? The same exhibit?
yes.
Okay. And is this still the same injuries that we were seeing in the previous photo?
Yes.
Okay. And we can see at that time, does it say May 25th, 2021 at about 3:02 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, I'd like to show you WW. Okay. Okay. Now, does this look like the same WW that you have in front of you?
Yes.
And is this the same injuries that we saw in the previous two photos?
Yes.
And do these look then what Miss Rodriguez had looked like when she came to your cousin's apartment?
Not with the smeared blood, but like,
It was a little bit more bloody.
yeah.
Do these photos look like she had cleaned up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, do you see the date at the top of May 25th, 2021 at 3:15 a.m.?
Yes.
And do you agree that the other photo is from 3:02 a.m.?
Yes.
Just have a few more questions for you, Ms. Alfaro. You said that you left because you were angry
Yeah.
about what you saw. And when Ms. Rodriguez got to the door, you asked her what happened?
Mm.
And what did she tell you?
She said that her and Hosanna got in a fight and Hosanna started hitting her.
Okay. And were you under the impression at the time that Stacy and Hosanna were living in the same apartment complex as your cousin?
Not Stacy. I thought she was still living with her brothers, but not with Hosanna at the time.
Is it your understanding that Hosanna was living at those apartments?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the same apartment complex as your cousin?
Yeah, same like, but different like buildings.
Okay. Okay. But same area. Okay. One moment, please. You mentioned that you all were working in the kitchen before.
Yeah.
Okay. What department did you move to JBS?
I didn't move to any department. I quit.
Okay.
When I was still working in the kitchen, I quit. I was like there for like 2 months and I quit. I didn't move to any other department.
Okay. What department did Stacy go into? Sanitation, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if in that, did they use bleach? Were you aware of that?
I don't know what they do in sanitation.
Okay. Totally fine. Thank you. All right. Nothing further. Thank you, Ms. Alfaro. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
There's no cross-examination.
All right, thank you. Ms. Alfaro, you. And Ms. Trujillo, you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, do you have water up there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to just kind of tell us how you're feeling sitting up there right now.
I feel nervous.
Nervous? Okay. Are you scared?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you scared about?
I just have a lot of anxiety.
And Ms. Rodriguez, I'm sorry, can you bring the microphone a little bit closer to you? It's a little hard to hear you.
Okay. You have a lot of anxiety, you said?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about what?
Maybe just because there's a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people watching you?
Yeah.
A lot of people going to listen to what you have to say?
Yeah.
And that makes you nervous?
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you testifying?
So the truth can be out.
Is that important to you?
Yeah, it is.
How come?
Because it's what's right.
Now, of course, you've been sitting here for the last 2 weeks. You've heard a lot of evidence. I know that you were aware of your own case, and you heard Ms. Varela testify, right?
Yeah, I did.
How did it feel to hear her say things against you?
I feel like it was like a lot of emotions. Like I was like sad and like disappointed at the same time.
Disappointed?
Yeah,
What are you disappointed about?
because she wasn't telling the truth.
Okay. And I want to get into the specifics right, of what you believe that she wasn't telling the truth about. So we will get there, okay?
Okay.
Have you been in the Weld County Jail since November 2021?
Yes, I have.
When was the last time you saw Miss Varela?
I don't remember exactly when our last court appearance was, but it was in court.
Okay. More than a year ago, you think?
Yeah, definitely. It was maybe like around 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you nervous to see her?
Yeah, I was.
How come?
Because I feel like she's like what, like from like obviously an experience like that. Like I feel like she's what like just seeing her is like brings everything, you know.
Bring everything back?
Yeah.
Back to October of 2021?
Yeah.
Have you ever not been able to think about October 2021?
No, not really.
So seeing Hosanna kind of, did it add that additional component to what you've already been dealing with the last 4 years?
Yeah.
Was it a hard decision for you to get up here and share your story with the with the jury?
In a sense, yeah.
Okay. How come?
I feel like it's more because I have like a lot of like social anxiety, but like, yeah.
Okay. I think it's important for the jury to hear kind of what that social anxiety looks like from you, because you are going to be sharing some details. So tell us kind of, or tell me when you get anxious, do you get quiet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you sometimes laugh?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Do you laugh maybe at times? Is it just kind of the response to the anxiety?
Yeah, it is.
Not necessarily that you're laughing at something funny?
Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay. Any other way where you feel that that kind of anxiety speaking in front of people shows, besides being quiet and maybe laughing?
Not really. I feel like that's
The basis?
yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about kind of your social anxiety in, 2020, 2021. Okay. First, before we do that, can you tell me around the year that you met Hosanna? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was like 2020.
2020. Okay. And did you all meet working at JBS?
Yeah, we did.
So 2020, then, we're here for 2021. You'd agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you share kind of what that social anxiety was like at the time that you first met Miss Varela and then, into the fall of 2021? What was it bad? Was it
Yeah, it was a lot worse then.
a lot worse than it is now? Okay. How was it worse?
Like I feel like I just really just wouldn't talk at all. Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a social person at that time?
No.
Did you have a big group of friends?
No.
Have you ever really had like a big social circle?
No.
Were you pretty close with your family in 2020, 2021?
Yeah.
We heard, obviously, I'm sure you've also heard sitting in here that kind of like where you were living at the time. So did you live with your family in 2020?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Who did you live with?
With my mom and my brothers.
How many brothers do you have?
I have, well, they lived there. There was only 2, but I have 4 brothers. in
Four
total.
brothers. Are you the youngest?
Yeah, I am.
How old were your brothers when you were living at home with them in about 2020? If you can remember.
I just remember my youngest brother, he was about 23.
23. Okay. Okay. And you were how old in 2020?
I was 18.
18. Okay. Had you ever, prior to meeting Miss Varela, Hosanna, ever lived by yourself?
No.
Okay. Had you always lived in that same house?
Yeah.
In 2020, when you met Hosanna, you're working at JBS. What was your position at JBS at the time?
So when I started work, when I met her,
Or like, no, when you first started working at JBS and you met Hosanna, what department were you working in?
so when I first met Hosanna, I was working in COVID sanitation.
What did that entail?
We would use like cleaning supplies to like clean like the whole building and stuff like that, like inside and out.
Okay. And Hosanna had talked about her working in the rendering,
Yeah.
and you never worked in rendering.
Not really. Like they would try to send us over there to help out, but it was always cold, so
Didn't like it.
no.
Okay. So the COVID sanitation, what kind of cleaning supplies did you use?
Bleach. There's like another one, but it was like in a fog machine, so I don't know what was exactly in there.
Okay. Are you allergic to bleach?
No, I'm not.
Do you know why Hosanna would say that you were allergic to bleach?
I have no idea.
Okay. Besides the COVID sanitation and cleaning with bleach, have you ever used bleach before?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
My sister-in-law, she would make me like wash the dishes with bleach, so to make sure they were extra clean and stuff. And then obviously like laundry, and then my mom sometimes uses it on the floor when she mops.
Okay.
So I would mop.
Been around a lot of it.
Yeah.
Did you ever use it for like your own personal items?
For my shoes.
Tell us about that.
Cause I have I like white shoes and stuff like that. So when you clean them, it just gets cleaned a lot better with like if you scrub them with soap and bleach.
Okay. Tell me if you don't remember this, but throughout the trial, we saw some photos that the prosecution had shown. I think this was when you were outside that West Point's bank and you were wearing white shoes.
Yeah.
Is this kind of what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go into a little bit more about, how you met Hosanna, your kind of relationship and how that developed. But I want to pause real quick. Have you and I talked a lot or before about what you said happened on October 2nd and October 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you spoken with the defense team before? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's okay. Have we had a lot of conversations about this?
Yeah.
Did you and I go over the fact that you might testify?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did we go over the questions that I would be asking you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I ever tell you what to say?
No.
Did I ever tell you to change your story?
No.
Did I ever tell you to say something different?
No.
Did I ever tell you to say you're going to have to say this?
I'll allow the question.
Did I ever tell you that you would have to say this because Miss Varela said that?
No.
And we're talking about 2021, and you heard about Miss Varela in the proffer looking at some of the discovery beforehand. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen all the discovery as well in your case?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Have you read all the police reports or seen a lot of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you looked at photos?
Yes.
Have you looked at surveillance videos?
Yes, I have.
Do you feel that you have a pretty good grasp on what the prosecution is putting against you?
Yes.
Okay. When we were sitting throughout this trial and you're seeing a lot of the evidence and on that table, everything that the prosecution has, put forth, was this your first time seeing any of that stuff?
I seen it in Discovery.
Okay, so you have seen this before. Did you watch Hosanna's Proffer before?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and that was 7 hours. Was that 7 hours?
A little
About?
bit over, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. So today, when you're testifying and you're telling the jury, your story, is that coming from what you believe to be true?
Yes.
Objection leading.
Give me just a second. I'll sustain that objection. Ms. Trejo, if you want to rephrase. Sure.
Are you testifying from your own personal knowledge?
Yes, I am.
Anything that we've heard over the last 2 weeks, has that influenced what you might tell the jury today?
No.
Has anything you've heard over the last 2 weeks changed what you remember to be true?
No.
Okay. So let's go into you and Hosanna's relationship, okay?
Okay.
So y'all meet at JBS. Did it start as a friendship?
Yeah, I did.
All right. How did you guys become friends?
We had a mutual friend.
At JBS?
Yeah.
That introduced you guys?
Yeah.
How did you all kind of start hanging out while at work?
Well, we started at first like eating lunch together, so we would like take our lunch when she would take hers. So like, yeah.
Okay. Was there a point where you started to have more feelings for her than just a friendship?
Yeah.
Can you might not, again, years ago, you might not remember exactly when that changed for you, but do you kind of remember how long you all were friends before you started to develop feelings for her?
A couple months, I believe.
Okay. When you guys started seeing each other versus just kind of like being friends, did you start hanging out more?
Yeah.
Did you all hang out? Did you spend most of your time with Miss Varela?
Yes.
Okay. So once you guys kind of started dating, whether or not, did you ever put a label on your relationship?
No, I didn't. No.
Does putting a label on your relationship make you feel kind of uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Why?
I feel like I'm not really like open with stuff like that.
Okay. What do you mean?
Like being with girls.
Okay. Okay. Do you date men?
No.
Okay. Have you only ever dated women?
Yeah.
Okay. But still, is it kind of the public relationship isn't something that you really jive with?
No, it's not.
You and Hosanna did you all spend most of your time together?
Yeah.
Did people know, in your opinion, that you all were together?
I believe it was pretty obvious, yeah.
Okay. When you and Hosanna were together, were you seeing other people?
At the beginning, there wasn't really like, so I thought, yeah, it was, but then
Did you stop?
Yeah.
Okay. And then throughout your relationship, when you were really, like, I suppose, without the label, but actually with Miss Varela, were you dating anybody else?
No.
Okay. Do you know if she was?
I wouldn't say dating, but like she'd be with other people.
Okay. Was this including her husband, Javi?
Yeah.
When you started seeing Hosanna, and I want to say, right, when you started seeing her, so when you started like being with her, okay, not just friends, did you know that she was married with kids?
I didn't at first.
How did you find out?
Our mutual friend.
Okay, when?
A little bit like, I'm not sure when.
Okay.
But I just remember the whole conversation coming up.
Okay, and was this after, and apologize, this is a very intimate question. Was this after, did you find out after or before you and Miss Varela had sex for the first time?
It was a little bit after.
Afterwards, okay. Do you remember kind of when things took a shift in your relationship with Miss Varela where it seemed as if we were friends, maybe there was some feelings, but then at that point, like, maybe we'll see where this goes? Was there a shift at that point? Do you remember anything happening?
Well, yeah, there was like after all that, there was a...
Okay, after all that, tell me what do you mean?
After like we officially like did stuff.
Okay. Miss Varela had talked about the Clarion, and that was the first time that you guys, had sex. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that kind of a noteworthy moment, I suppose, in your relationship for you? The
what?
Clarion?
Oh, what?
Was that like a noteworthy moment in your relationship when you guys read the Clarion?
I don't know what that was.
Yeah. So did it mean, like, did something happen at the Clarion where you were like, okay, maybe our relationship is going to a next level?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Can you explain that? What do you mean by that?
Well, like friends don't usually do that stuff. So like,
Okay.
obviously,
It was the first time you guys were together.
yeah,
How did you feel about your relationship after that?
it was awkward.
Why was it awkward?
Because it wasn't supposed to happen.
What do you mean?
Like we didn't plan that out.
Okay.
It just kind of was like in the moment type stuff.
Yeah. It just happened.
Yeah.
Did you guys, when at that point, were you still seeing other people?
Slightly.
Okay. When you did find out that Hosanna had a husband, common law, but somebody that she referred to as her husband, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. When you found out that she did have this family and she had 3 kids, how did that make you feel?
I kind of just laughed it off. Like I didn't really care.
Why didn't you care?
I don't know. I didn't.
Just
see
didn't
it
care.
Yeah, I just didn't.
Okay. When you guys started then being in a relationship, did that ever become a point where you cared that she was with a husband and kids and also with you?
Well, she had told me that she didn't want to be with him before me and her like made it. I don't want to say like official, but like, yeah.
Okay. So was Miss Varela then telling you that she didn't want to be with her husband anymore?
Objection, lady.
Give me just a second. I'll allow that question.
Was Miss Varela telling you then, when you guys were all together, that she wanted to leave her husband? And was she telling you she wanted to be with you?
Question.
I can
I'll allow the,
rephrase.
I'll allow the question.
Okay. Do you want me to say it again?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
that's all right. Did Miss Varela tell you that she wanted to leave her husband and essentially leave her husband for you?
Not necessarily for me, but she already wanted to leave him before me and her were even on that kind of road.
Okay. So for you, was it a big deal that she's still had a husband with kids?
No, I didn't care.
Okay, you didn't care. That's okay. She talked a little bit about, and I don't want to get into October 2nd quite yet, but she did mention that you guys were at Cubetta's and Javi was there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Did you see him there?
Yeah, I did.
Did you care?
No.
Did you talk to him?
No.
No. Why not?
It's just awkward. Then a lot of people were coming up to us like, "Did you see Javi?" I'm like, "Yeah." But it was just like,
Yeah. Why do you think people were coming up to you and saying, "Did you see Javi?"
because it's just so awkward. When you go out and you see your ex there, like, and you're with somebody that you're with, it's just like an awkward situation in general, I feel,
Yeah. Did you ever meet Javi?
I think I don't really like know him, but I did get to meet him a few times.
Okay. What were those interactions like?
They were pretty good. Honestly, there was
Any kind of hostility between you two?
well, I mean, I would assume that he didn't like me, but I mean, he didn't act no type of way in front of me or nothing.
You said you assumed he didn't like you. Why do you assume that?
Because Hosanna would tell me
Okay, what would she say?
that he didn't like me.
Okay. Did she tell you why?
Well, he didn't like me even before me and her were on that kind of like tip.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Did you ever ask?
No, I would kind of just laugh. I was already kind of used to like, like, oh, okay,
Yeah. Used to what?
like, I guess like people having like that kind of, I don't want to say like, just like people like just thinking something like, just because I'm like a female that's not very like feminine and stuff like that. So they're always like, yeah, I don't know.
Can you say that again? Something, I'm not sure I heard you clearly, but something about feminine, being feminine.
Yeah, so like I feel like that like played a lot to like, because he didn't know me, like me and her like started off as friends, and that's when he didn't like me. This was before any of that happened. I don't know if he had a reason not to trust her or like, but I think it's because like I'm not very like feminine, so I feel like it's obvious that I don't like that I like girls,
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you and Javi ever get into arguments?
No.
Did you ever argue with Hosanna about Javi?
No.
Were you ever frustrated that she was with Javi?
Not like cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I kind of just felt disrespected. And so I didn't say like frustrated, but I would just be like, damn, like embarrassed kind of.
Okay. Tell us about the disrespect. Why did you feel disrespected?
I don't know, cause like I just never got like how like she would like tell me I couldn't do something, but she was over there like
Okay. What would she go and do that she would say you couldn't do?
just everything.
Can you give us an example?
She be with other people, hang out with other people, like just everything.
Do you feel that she limited your ability to go out with other people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just one moment, Ms. Rodriguez. I'm just going to grab something from that table, okay?
Okay.
Take a minute and look through those.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. I can take them back. I might ask you just some questions about it rather than having you read them, if that works.
Yeah.
Okay. So in these RR and SS, these were Facebook messages between you and Hosanna?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. And did Hosanna ask you in these, where are you drinking at?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you say, like, why are you so worried?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Was it because she was with Javi?
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't remember,
I kind of don't remember.
that's okay. That's
what.
okay. Here you go. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. So you say, like, why are you worried about it? Because you're with Javi, right?
Yeah, I do believe maybe it was him. Yeah.
Could it have been somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay. Why could it have been somebody else?
Because she bees with a lot of people.
Okay. And this was while you all were together,
Yeah.
while you weren't seeing anybody else.
I was not.
Okay. So we'll put a pin in that just for a minute. Let's keep with these. So you say, why are you worried? You're with like somebody else. And does she send you then in response, a text message or a Facebook message that says like a pukey face, saw your snap?
Yeah.
And then what snap, do you remember what that was?
I was just hanging out with one of my friends.
Okay. And did you put a Snapchat out of you hanging out with your friends?
Yeah. Just one friend.
Okay, just one friend.
Yeah.
And what do you say in response to that?
After that snap,
After she says like the pukey face.
oh, I put one in your purse.
Okay. And what did you put in her purse?
A condom.
Okay. Now go to the next exhibit. And what do you say?
Me after them?
Yeah.
After she responded to that last message?
Yeah, let's back up. So you say, I put one in your purse, and then what did she say?
She said, "Thank you, love. We have some."
And you said you put a condom in her purse?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what did you say after she said, "Thank you, love, we have some"?
I said, "Great. Don't be petty. We just friends, and that's maybe. You made your choice earlier, so don't give me."
Okay. What did you mean by, why'd you put a condom in her purse?
So she don't get pregnant, I guess.
Was it more of a
To be
joke?
careful. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny
Okay.
at that moment. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Did you mean it in a way? So did you mean it, were you trying to control her?
I was just telling her to like be careful in a sense. If you're gonna cheat, at least do it carefully.
Okay, because it could come back and affect you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you told her, something about her being upset and you saying, like, we're just friends, why did you say that?
I just said that to clarify, like that she had no reason to be mad or feel no type of way because we were just friends.
Okay. Would Hosanna often get upset if you were hanging out with other people?
Yeah,
How often would she do that?
like all the time.
Did that change the way you interacted with other people?
Yeah, it was like more like awkward. Like I always had to like watch myself.
What do you mean by watch yourself?
Well, for when I couldn't really hang out with people by myself, so she would always like come with me. So it was like more awkward. Like I couldn't like overly like laugh or like just laugh in general. But I always had to sit next to her. So it did like impact a lot of how I was.
Okay. I want you to kind of maybe break that down a little bit for the jury. When you said you couldn't really laugh, what do you mean?
She would take that as like flirting and stuff.
Okay. If you were laughing at what somebody else said,
Oh yeah, or with them, or like,
did you guys have mutual friends?
not really. I didn't really hang out. I like,
You didn't really have a lot of other friends.
no, I was just kind of just very few people.
You saw Miss Alfaro testify, Karen.
Yeah,
She one of your friends?
yeah,
One of the friends you've had for a while?
yeah,
And is that usually how you are with your friends, whereas people you've known for a long time?
yes.
Okay. Did you ever hang out with Hosanna and her friends?
Sometimes.
What was that like?
It's just I just kind of just was there. I would just kind of stand there.
Is that usually what you would do in social interactions?
Yeah.
Would you even act that way sometimes with your own family?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. It just is the way that I am.
Okay. So thinking of these messages, did you ever tell Hosanna that she couldn't go hang out with her friends?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever want to?
What?
Did you ever want to?
Or she can go hang out with her friends?
That she couldn't.
Oh no.
So it sounds like, at one point you decided that you were not seeing anybody else. Fair to say?
Yeah.
Why? Why did you decide that you weren't going to see anybody else?
Well, it was like official without release. It was like I feel like a mutual agreement, but it wasn't like announced, I feel, but it was, we both under.
But she still slept with other people.
Oh yeah.
So was it really a mutual agreement?
Well, she said it was. So I'm like,
Did it feel like it was a mutual agreement?
for a while until she kind of, yeah.
Okay. If you were the one that wanted to just be with her and it was a mutual agreement that you thought y'all had and you weren't seeing anybody else and she continued to do that, did that never make you mad?
I would feel like I would try to justify a lot of what she would do, just because I did love her, and like somebody that you love, you don't ever really want to see like the bad in. So I would kind of like, it would like, I'd be like, oh, like, yeah.
Did she ever give you reasons or say something for you to justify that?
What do you mean?
Did she ever, like you were saying, right, I tried to justify it, you love somebody, and I think that makes sense. But did she ever say, did you ever confront her and say, stop sleeping with all these other people?
Eventually, yeah, like further on in the relationship, like I did.
How did she respond to that?
She kind of like was like the whole, like for Javi, for example, like it was like, she was like, oh, I just was with them for a long time, and I was like, you're right. I was like, and that's when I had told her, I was like, you should, I think it's right that you talk to me. Like, he's always going to be in your life. Like, he's the father of your kids. Like, I completely understand.
Okay. Did you ever want them to get closure?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I feel like I tend to, like, a lot of times, like, put myself in other people's shoes.
Okay.
So, like, I can imagine how you felt. Like, they were together for a long time. They had kids and, like, the whole thing. And, like, me coming into the relationship at, like, 18, 19 years old, like, and then just that little, like, I'm younger than them. And then, like, also with me being a girl, like, in some sense, like, I feel like I imagine it would have hurt his ego as well, like it would affect him, like, mentally and stuff like that. Like,
okay. Hosanna talked a lot about, you being jealous and, you confronting people, you not liking what she was doing at bars. Is that true?
no.
Did any of that ever happen?
Like, what part?
Of you controlling her?
No.
Did you ever tell her that she, if she wanted to go out on a Friday night and drink, did you ever say, no, you can't do that?
No, I never told her that.
If she wanted to go out, did you ever say, that's fine, but I'm coming with you?
No.
Why do you think she would have said that on the stand?
I'm not.
Calls for speculation.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Was there ever a point that you guys kind of got in an argument about this stuff?
No, because I would never tell her that.
Okay. Did you want her to leave Javi to be with you?
No.
Okay. Why not?
I had told her she was new. I was like, at first, even after we had did stuff, I had told her, she was like talking about more, obviously, like got more comfortable to express her feelings. She's like, I just don't want to be with him. And I was like, maybe you should try it out, like talk to him, like take more time to yourself. So I kind of even tried to encourage her staying with him, you know?
Mm-hmm. How did you feel when she acted upon your advice?
She really did. She did it for a while. She left him, this whole thing happened. I was like, and then for the longest when I had told her, I was like, to have a talk with him, that's always gonna be the father of your kids, you know, and then it led to a lot more. So I was like, whoa.
Tell us what it led to.
She started cheating on me with him.
Did that make you upset?
It threw me off, but at that moment, I feel like I was so naive, you know, so it was okay to me at the moment, you know.
Okay. Now thinking back on it, right? It's been at least 4 years. Can you think back maybe on a time where maybe you did snap at her and say, essentially, this is nonsense, you're disrespecting me, stop?
Yeah, I had brought it up that one time that I just explained.
Yeah.
But that was really about it. Because I feel yeah, I do have a lot social anxiety, but I am very secure with myself. I know, you know, I feel okay. I'm secure with myself.
Did you ever threaten Javi?
No.
Did you ever threaten his life?
No, I did not.
Did you ever verbally accuse him of something?
No.
Did you ever send him any angry text messages?
No.
Did you ever sit outside of his house?
No.
Did you ever stalk Hosanna outside of his house?
No, I did not.
Did you ever say, hey, I'm waiting for you, get out here?
No.
Okay. If I could just have one moment, I want to grab something else from the table, okay? I want to go through some of the prosecution's exhibits with you, okay? I'm going to show you first People's 208 and 205. Your Honor, permission to approach?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So 205, I think. Is that the big text message on the photo? Or is that 208? Can you see that at the bottom?
Yes, it's 205.
205, okay. And then 208, does that kind of show a printout with some dates where that, assuming that's where that text was sent?
Yeah.
Okay. If you go down, let's look here. So there's the created, assessed, modified date. Do you see those?
Yeah.
Okay. The created and the assessed date, is that January 4th, 2022?
Yeah.
And then does that modified date, is that from November 2nd, 2021?
Yeah.
Okay. You were arrested November 11th, 2021, right?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. So that text message, assuming, was sent before then, right?
Yeah.
You didn't send that text message, or did you send that text message in January 2022? Or did you send it in 2021? Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, that's okay. So if we're looking, we've got the created and the created and the assessed date, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that says January 4th, 2022. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then were you in jail January 4th, 2022? If you were arrested on November 11th, 2021?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. So then we see the modified date. Does that say November 2nd, 2021?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to say that likely these texts would have been sent November 2nd, 2021,
Yeah.
not in January 2022.
No.
Okay, so let's talk about this. In that text message, can you read, I guess, what you're saying in that?
Yeah.
Would you mind?
She said.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, So did Hosanna say, and you have the other printout if it's helpful. Okay. Did Hosanna say, oh my gosh, or OMG, LOL?
Yeah.
And you responded, the first message says, so in my head, you not taking the ring off mean you FWM. So yeah, you're not single no more. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, what does FWM?
It means fuck you mean.
Fuck you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it says, you say again, I come with a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say attention.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say love?
Mm-hmm.
Do you say tickles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm so sorry, you're gonna have to say yes into that microphone.
Yes.
Okay. Do you say support?
Yeah.
And then do you say, I'll kill an MF for you?
Yeah.
And then do you end it with like 6 feet under?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you were thinking, what was going through your mind, if you remember sending this text message?
I do remember sending it.
Okay, yeah. What were you thinking? Were you threatening her?
No,
Okay.
I was just. That's just. Do you want me?
Tell us what you were thinking, yeah.
Okay, that's just the. I wasn't like really like thinking. That's just like the way that I feel like I like express love in a sense. Like me and my family are like that.
In what way? Like, what did you say that is how you and your family express kind of affection toward each other?
The last 2 messages.
I'll kill an MF for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Like 6 feet under?
Yeah.
Is this stuff you say often?
Yeah.
You've, have you been, do you chat with your family over the last few years?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still say the same things to them now?
Yeah.
Okay. When you said, I'll kill an MF for you, were you referring to Mr. Dickerson?
No, I was not.
Okay. Do you remember what this conversation was about at the time?
No.
Okay, that's all right. Do you remember her taking off the ring?
I think she had said she was gonna, but I don't think she did.
Okay. Do you remember arguing about this stuff?
Not about this thing, but it might have been about something else.
Okay. When you said, I come with a lot of things, attention, love, tickles, support, were you trying to make her stay with you?
No, it was kind of just like a thing we would do.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Like, you know how like on the TV, like there's like advertisements and stuff, you know, like, yeah, it was kind of just like something we would do, like it was like cute.
Okay. I apologize. Can you explain to me what you mean by the TV advertisements?
Like, they would be like, if you buy this, it comes with this, and that.
I see. Okay. So you were saying, I come with all these things. Don't you want to buy me, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And same thing of, I love you so much, like 6 feet under.
Yeah.
Okay. I can take that back from you. All right, now I want to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 232. Permission, can I have standing permission to record?
Yes, you can.
All right, do you remember seeing this photo earlier in the trial?
Yes, I did.
And is this a text message where it looks like it involves you sending a photo of outside an apartment complex? Or what is that photo?
I think that's her baby daddy's house.
Hobby?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you there?
I don't know if it's a house, but it kind of looks like his car a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Do you ever go to Hobby's house?
Every now and then, like slightly, like.
Why would you go there?
Sometimes I would drop off, or we would drop off the kids, or like pick them up, or like.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Let's think about that. When you and Hosanna were together, did you ever move in with her?
Yeah.
Okay. What apartment, if you don't have the address, that's okay, but do you remember what apartments they were? Like where they were?
I remember where they're at, but I don't remember what they're called.
That's okay. Can you give us like the street?
So on 23rd, there's a middle school called, I think it's a middle school.
Okay.
It's called Heath.
Oh, okay.
But there's also on the street, like kind of like diagonally across, there's like a Wells Fargo. So they're like in front of those two places, there's a apartment complex. So I want to say with like 5 or 6 buildings.
Okay. Were these the same apartment complexes that Karen was testifying about earlier today?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And were you living at one point with Hosanna there?
Yeah,
Was that where she lived with Javi before?
yeah,
And so he moved out.
yeah.
And then you would go, the way you figured out kind of where Javi was living was that because you would drop?
Objection leading.
I'll sustain the objection. Ms. Trejo, if you want to rephrase.
Okay. Did you learn that this was Javi's house because you would drop the kids off?
Yeah,
Objection leading.
I'll allow the question.
Okay. So yes?
yeah.
Okay. Do you remember this text message at all?
I don't.
Do you have any recollection of why you would be outside Javi's house telling her to hurry up?
No.
Did you ever just pick her up from Javi's house?
I've picked up a few times, but it was like not this.
Okay. Would you ever get upset if Hosanna wasn't on time?
No, like I would
Yeah, keep going.
always like so like I feel like girls in general always take forever to get ready. So like let's say we had like something at 8. I'll be there at 7, but I'm really gonna be there at 8, you know? So it ends up like I kind of just
You showed
yes,
up.
I'm used to it with like my sisters like that, my mom, you know,
Okay.
like
So was there ever a time where you said, essentially, this is ridiculous. Get out of the house. I'm waiting for you. I'm pissed.
no, I never said that.
Okay. I'll take that back from you. Thank you. Okay. So were you 18 years old when you met Hosanna?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. And then when we're thinking of October 2021, were you 19 years old?
Yeah, I was.
Was your relationship with Hosanna the first serious relationship you had?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you date other people before?
It would be like slight things, but I was always never like, I would just,
Was it casual?
yeah.
Were you ever exclusive with somebody else before?
What?
Were you ever exclusive with somebody else before? Like, I'm not seeing anybody else, you're not seeing anybody else kind of exclusive?
no.
No. Okay. Hosanna's the first one.
Yeah.
So you said, a few months of friendship, you start to develop feelings. Kind of walk us through that timeline of when you start to develop feelings with Hosanna and then you move in. How long after you guys started seeing each other did you move in?
I want to say maybe it was like 2 to 3 months.
Okay. And this was was this the first time that you ever moved out of your family's house?
Yeah, away from my mom.
Okay. Away from your mom?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you and your mom pretty close?
Yeah.
When you were working at JBS and you were 18, were you still in high school?
No,
No. Why not?
I dropped out.
When?
I want to believe it was my freshman year of high school.
Did you ever get your GED?
No.
No. Okay. Why'd you drop out of school?
I dropped out of school to work full time and to take care of my mom.
Why did you have to do that?
Which one?
Objection calls for sympathy, Your Honor.
Ms. Trejo, any response?
Yes, Ms. Varela had testified that she wasn't close with her family.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Alrighty. When you started dating Hosanna, was there ever any kind of tension between you and your family and the fact that you were with her?
Well, they didn't like her.
What happened?
She was just like a lot of things played into it, I feel.
Can you give us an example?
Like the whole fact that she was like older than me, and she had like this whole life already, like
Yeah.
like the kids and stuff like that. And then she would like always be drinking and stuff like that. That's not like something that I would do. So it kind of would like my family seeing me be with somebody that's like that, was like, what? That's all you guys are like, Yeah.
Okay. You didn't really like grow up around drinking?
My brother would drink, but nobody else really drinks like that. No.
Okay. Let's talk about your brother for a second. I think we heard yesterday that Miss Varela said that you had family members that went to prison?
One brother.
Is this the brother we're talking about?
Yeah.
What did he go to prison for?
DUI.
Okay, so he would drink.
Yeah.
Did that affect him going to prison for DUI? Did that affect how you would drink?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I try to always like stay away from it because of that. Cause like I, obviously like experienced firsthand what it could lead to, and like I just didn't see like really good out of it. So I was like,
Was it also a factor that you were 18?
oh yeah, that's
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it's not, that's okay. I'm just asking.
Yeah. Well, I feel like everyone always drinks when they're young, but like that's not really something I like ever really liked.
Okay. What was it like when you were living with Hosanna and her kids? Did you like being around her kids?
Yeah, I did like her kids, but it was a lot different.
Tell me about that.
So I'm just, cause obviously like me and my mom are like close. I'm always like used to like just like certain things was like obviously a lot different. Like I wasn't used to like the full responsibility. Like I would more like
Did you have kids of your own?
no.
Okay. What kind of responsibilities did you have with her kids?
Like I had to cook and stuff.
Okay. How often?
Pretty often.
Daily?
Yes.
Why did you have to cook?
Cause she wouldn't.
Were you ever alone with her kids?
Yeah.
How often?
Pretty often.
Do you like kids?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your time with them?
Sometimes it was overly stressful because it's not something that I was used to. So, but it was majority like it was fine. Like
Okay. Did you have, besides cooking for them, any other typical duties you would help out with the kids in the house?
A couple times I had to change your daughter's diaper.
Okay. Your daughter was pretty young and in diapers at the time.
Yeah.
Now, let's kind of jump forward. So this was, generally throughout your relationship. When we're in October, were you still seeing her kids?
October. Yeah, I was.
Okay. Where were you living in October?
With my sister-in-law.
Okay. Where was Hosanna living?
Nowhere.
Okay. Would she stay with you sometimes?
No, my sister-in-law didn't like her, so she would let her sleep in the truck, cause she would like somewhat kind of stay at her mom's and her grandma's, but not all the time did they want her there.
Okay. And when you say sleep in the truck, is this your truck?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Tahoe?
Yes.
Do you always refer to the Tahoe as a truck?
Yeah.
Do you ever say whip?
No.
Okay. So I want to go into the drinking. Do you need more water?
Yeah.
Judge, can we actually approach?
Sure.
Thank you. So would she just kind of grab your phone and she held it?
Yeah, she would like put it in her pocket or in her purse.
And was that pretty standard for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you ever worried about it?
No.
So when we were looking at that message, right?
Yeah.
It looked like you had said something along the lines of, it's either hobby or it's going to be me. Do you remember that? Seeing that text in there?
Yeah, I remember seeing the picture of it.
What was that about?
I don't know. I didn't send it.
Okay. Do you have any reason to think about where this may have come from?
I feel like it was her.
Okay. Would she do stuff like that before?
Objection, leading.
I'll allow the question.
Would she do that stuff before?
Kind of like somewhat like she would like I'll get a message from like one of my like family members and she'll like just message back.
Okay.
And I'll be like, what? When did this happen? Like, but it was kind of like didn't really matter to me then.
Okay. You said it didn't matter to you then. Did it ever matter to you?
Well, I didn't know about stuff like that.
Okay. Was that the first time you had seen this?
Yeah, during Discovery was the first time that I have ever seen it.
Let's go back. I want to talk about your drinking. You had said earlier, regardless of the fact you were 18, right?
Yeah.
But drinking wasn't really a big thing for you, correct?
No, yeah.
Did you start drinking a little bit more when you were with Hosanna?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, how? Why?
I don't know, she kind of made me feel like I was kind of like immature, not like immature, but like young. Like the fact that I didn't like it.
What didn't you like about drinking?
I didn't like the taste of it.
What would you guys drink?
She would like, it was like the harder bottles.
Hard alcohol?
Yeah.
Okay. Like vodka?
And then Crown Royal and Jim Beam.
Um, did you ever, though, drink with Hosanna?
Yeah, I did.
Why did you do that if you didn't like it?
Kind of just did it because like she would do it, so I'd be like, oh, you know, like, all right. Like I'm not, because she would like tell me I was like a baby. So I'd be like,
She call you a baby?
yeah, like a child.
Okay. Did you feel pressure to drink
Slightly, yeah.
by Hosanna?
Yeah.
Did you ultimately get kind of more comfortable drinking?
I would get like a lot of anxiety and stuff like that because I originally already have like a lot, so that would kind of like I, yeah, just give me more.
Okay. Drinking would give you more anxiety?
Yeah.
We talked earlier this morning about the way sometimes your anxiety presents itself by you get quiet, you might laugh at things that aren't funny, just like a kind of a nervous response. When you're drinking and that social anxiety comes up, was it similar or different?
I feel like it's similar. Like I feel like I will stop talking completely though.
Okay. Stop engaging with people?
I will still kind of stand there, but kind of like it would be like more. Like I would just kind of get away more, like kind of, you know.
Get away more like isolate yourself?
Yeah, like take a few steps back from like conversations or like stuff like that.
Okay. Do you feel that your social anxiety throughout your time with Hosanna when you were drinking, did it kind of improve? Did you figure out maybe how to deal with it a little bit more or no?
I think just my anxiety in general got a lot better once with it because like obviously the more you hang out with somebody, the more you're with somebody, you get more comfortable to like more be yourself and stuff.
Did you trust her?
Yeah.
You loved her, right?
Yeah.
Did you want to be with her?
Yeah.
And so ultimately you didn't start drinking. Would you consider Hosanna to be a drinker? That's just what she did.
Yeah.
How often would she drink?
She would drink like every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
I want to kind of focus around the time that you guys were together all the time. Hosanna had said that once you guys kind of got together, days, nights, just together. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So during that time, was she drinking every day?
Yeah, I feel like she's always has.
Okay. What did that drinking every day look like? Was it, I don't know, like a mixed drink after work, a glass of wine here and there, or
It was like to drink to like get drunk.
every day?
Yeah.
Or more often than not?
Yeah.
Is that more accurate?
Objection, 403, character.
Give me just a second. I'll sustain the objection and strike the last question and answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
When you guys were out, would you consider her to be more of a social person in comparison to you?
Yeah.
What did that look like when you guys were out at the bars and interacting with strangers?
Well, she would just kind of talk to him, and I would just be there, just neutral.
Okay. Did you ever try to flirt with people to get drinks at bars?
No.
You said that with quite quickly.
Yeah.
That it's just absolutely not.
That would never happen.
Okay. Would Hosanna do that?
Yeah.
And so she's flirting with other people to get drinks. How did that make you feel?
She would kind of bring it up as a joke, so I would like laugh.
Okay. If she didn't bring it up as a joke, would that change how you felt?
It would look different, but I kind of like was already kind of used to it. So if she would do that, I would be like,
Okay. Did you ever get upset?
no, not really, no.
Did you get a free drink out of it too?
Yeah.
Okay. When you guys would go out, understanding that you were 18, but would you often go out to the bars?
Yeah.
What bars would you guys go to?
So like it was limited because I was old enough to drink, but we would go to like cubetas. A couple times we would go to roasties. It's like this little bars at the Mordo. And there was this one Mexican. I think it's called Bandido or something like that.
Over there on 8th?
It's like on like in front of the highway.
Okay. I like Garden City.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the same thing?
Yeah, this one's over there by Chippers Lane and stuff like that.
Ah, okay.
So it's like that street there.
Is it a club?
Yeah, it's a Mexican.
We talked about the surveillance a little bit, about you having to go in a specific entrance to get into cubetas. Was this because you're underage?
Yes.
Would you drink at these places?
Yeah.
When you guys were out and you were meeting people, was it common for you guys to find after parties?
Yeah.
How would that happen, just generally? We don't need like specifics, but you're going out to the bars. How do you find an after party?
Well, Hosanna, like, she knew a lot of people. So, like, it was always, like, she would always just find one.
How did it make you feel to go to after parties?
Well, I feel like I just did it because it was something that she wanted to do. So I was just, like, obviously, like, being with her and loving her, I would follow suit.
Was that kind of common in your relationship of, you know, Hosanna was more comfortable perhaps doing things, she knew what she wanted to do, and you went along with it?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel comfortable saying, I don't really want to do that?
Well, a couple of times I kind of would be like, "Ugh," but she'd be like, come on, like, stop being a bee, you know?
When you say stop being a bee, what do you mean?
Bitch.
A bitch? Okay.
Yeah.
Would she tell you to stop being a bitch often?
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel when you heard that?
I tell her I'm not.
You would tell her you're not?
Yeah.
I want to show you some more text messages, okay? I want to show you what's been labeled as double Q.
And Mr. Heel, I have it on the record as QQA and QQB. Is it both of them?
Yes, I unfortunately did too many letters.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, I want you to kind of go through those. Let me know when you know what we're talking about, and I'll read them for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you know what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so these text messages are, we previously talked about these throughout the trial. This is when Hosanna was telling you, my face is so red right now, right?
Yeah.
And was this in regard to you being with somebody else?
I want to believe that she was with some.
Objection leading.
Give me just a second. I'll sustain the objection. Mr. Heel, if you want to rephrase, go ahead.
Okay. Do you know what these text messages are about?
Yeah.
Okay, what are they about?
About another female.
Who was with the other female?
Objection calls for speculation if you didn't know.
I'll allow the question if the witness knows. And if you don't know, Ms. Rodriguez, that's fine.
Can I see them again?
You bet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
you're fine. So who was with the other girl?
She was.
She was, okay. And so we start off at the beginning of these text messages, and you told her, tell her I say hi, JK, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
I know it's very unnatural. Okay, and then Hosanna says, watch, right?
Yeah.
You respond, babe, I'm kidding,
Yeah.
correct? Does she then say, I'm literally not playing?
Yeah.
And you say,
Objection leading. witness actually read the document?
Your Honor, Mr. Correlia read a bunch of letters.
Oh, okay, let me respond, and if I need a response from you guys, I will ask for one. I will allow the question, and if the witness needs to refer to the document, Ms. Rodriguez, just tell the parties that and ask to look at it if you need to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hosanna says, I'm literally not playing.
Yes.
Do you say back, WTF with a few extra Fs?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Hosanna says, my face is red right now.
Yeah.
And she says red with a couple extra Ds, right?
Yeah.
You then say LMFAO with a bunch of O's, correct?
Yeah.
She then says, she's a fucking dumb ass little bitch, correct?
Yeah.
And then do you say, hey, she's average size, LOL, JK?
Yeah.
And then do you say, I'm playing, LMFAO, correct? Okay. And then she responds and says, the fact you defending what she fucking did pisses me off even more. I'm literally fucking shaking right now, Stacy. I'm not fucking around.
Yeah.
And do you respond and say, WTF, what are you talking about? LMFAO.
Yeah.
And then does she respond and say, well, I guess I apologize. Before you said the tell her I said hi, JK, 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 I want to talk about what you had said right before that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize. It was a little confusing. Before, Hosanna texts you and says, I'm so fucking pissed, I want to cry, right?
Yeah.
And she says, like, you have no fucking idea, correct?
Yeah.
And then do you say, why, with three question marks?
Yeah.
And she says, I swear to God, if she's your little bitch.
Yeah.
And you say, what the, WTF, LMFAO, is that right?
Yeah.
Does she then say, I literally feel like fucking crying how fucking pissed I am, right?
Yeah.
And then do you respond and say, what'd she do?
Yeah.
And then does she respond and say, I'll message you when I'm done?
Yeah.
Okay. And then does the conversation go into you saying, tell her I say hi, JK?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we're talking about these text messages, would this kind of language happen often from Hosanna to you?
Yeah.
Would it happen often? Like, tell us, I guess, why it would happen. Like, what were you doing that she would then respond to be so upset?
Give me just a All right, the witness can answer.
What would you be doing that would, in your opinion, cause her to respond this way?
I feel like a lot of times, like, she would just, like a lot of arguments and stuff, like, I wouldn't even know what they were about. So I would try to ask her, and she would, like, kind of just...
Again, objection calls for speculation.
And Ms. Rodriguez, the question is what you were doing, so if you will just focus on what you were doing.
Yeah, so sorry.
That's okay. Do you remember what you were doing for her to respond this way?
No.
Okay. Is this kind of just standard?
Yeah.
All right. I want to show you what's been previously admitted as Defense Exhibit Double L.
Double L, okay.
Yes. Thank you. Go ahead and look at this one.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, it's small, but yeah. Yeah.
And again, are we looking, let's just look down at this date. Is it created, access, modified? Are all these dates the same?
Yeah.
Are they all from November 6th, 2021?
Yeah.
Okay. Do these text messages look like it's something you are sending to her?
Yeah.
And maybe not text messages, is this a Facebook Messenger?
Yeah.
Is that normally how you guys would talk?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember sending this message?
Slightly.
Okay. You said something about how are you gonna say you feel like getting ready after you see the video of him and go all nice and pretty to his mom's, LMFAO, trying to prove that you better than the other bitch, or what's up, LMFAO? What do you mean by that?
Well, I was kind of just more or less kind of like laughing. I don't know, cause
Yeah, go ahead.
so she was so mad about this video with her baby daddy and some other girl, and I would kind of just look, cause she even used my phone to record the whole incident and stuff.
What'd she see? Or what do you mean? What was she recording?
Her baby daddy and some girl.
Okay.
And so I just thought it was kind of funny because she's like, like,
Did you find it funny because she was upset about him being with another girl?
oh, no. Like, I mean, obviously, like, that's going to be like,
Objection relevance 403, I think we're there, Judge.
Give me just a second.
Stacy, tell me why you thought this was funny.
just because, the whole thing with her taking the video of her like catching her baby daddy with like another girl.
Okay.
So I just thought it was funny.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you what's been previously admitted as Defense Exhibit GG. Okay, do you remember seeing this earlier in trial? This was a video of Hosanna at a park.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, was this from October 13th, 2021?
Yeah.
Were you with her? Do you remember?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Why do you believe you weren't with her?
Honestly, like, I kind of stopped really like hanging out, in a sense. Like, it was just like kind of like I was trying to distance myself, so I know like a park is not somewhere.
Okay. All right. Now I want to go and show you Exhibit TT1 and TT2. Do you remember seeing these throughout the trial?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What does this photo stand out to you?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, we seen it the other day.
Okay. Hosanna had said that this is when she went to the hospital for a black eye. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I took her.
You took her to the hospital?
Yeah.
Did you give her that black eye?
No, I did not.
Do you know who did?
She said some girls had jumped her or something. We weren't together the night before, so I don't know.
Okay. You didn't do it?
No.
There is one more thing I want to talk about before we kind of move on, okay?
Okay.
Hosanna testified that at one point you had cut off all of her clothes, left bruises on her body, and left cuts on her body, and poured, I believe she said, water or alcohol all over her, and then made her go to sleep. Do you remember her telling you that?
Yeah, I remember her saying that.
Okay, did that happen?
No, it did not.
Did you ever see cuts on her body?
She would like cut herself.
So non-responsive, is that a yes?
I will ask that you re-ask the question, Ms. Trujillo.
Sure. Did you ever see cuts on her body?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever know what those cuts were from?
Yes.
What were they from?
She was like very suicidal, so she would like, that's how she explained to like cope with.
Okay. Okay. Did you ever see her do it?
No.
403, Your Honor.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Move to strike.
I'll sustain the last question, I'll strike the last question and answer.
Did you see cuts on her body? Was that the question that you had sustained?
So it was.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get clarification.
You guys are killing Jenny here. Please don't talk over each other. The last question to which there was an objection was, did you ever see her do it? And the answer was no. That's the question and answer that's getting stricken.
Okay. Did you ever see cuts on her body?
Yeah.
Objection, asked and answered.
I'll allow the question.
Do you want me to re-ask it?
Yeah.
Did you ever see cuts on her body?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right, you want to think this might be a good break?
Okay. All right.
To October, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's start with October 2nd. Were you and Hosanna together on October 2nd that night?
Yeah, we were.
What was your guys' plan?
To go out and just have drink and have fun.
Okay. Was that standard for you all?
Yeah, I was.
Was she, do you know if she was in Johnstown before?
I'm not really 100% sure.
Okay. Just like maybe don't remember or?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. Where did you pick her up that night?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, yes.
From where?
Her mom's house, or her sister and mom's house.
Okay.
Apartment.
What car were you driving?
A Chevy Malibu.
And when you pick up Hosanna, what do you guys do?
We go to Cubetas.
Okay. Did you go anywhere before?
No.
Were you guys drinking in the car on the way to Quipetas?
Yes, we were.
What were you drinking?
It was a dark bottle, but I don't exactly remember what kind it was.
Okay. Hosanna said Hennessy. Would that sound right?
Yeah,
How much were you drinking?
quite a bit.
Were you driving?
Yeah, I was.
How much was Hosanna drinking, if you could see?
About the same amount as me.
When you're drinking in the car, and you're drinking that hard alcohol, are you like just taking shots or are you mixing it with things?
It was like shots, but then I believe we had like a chaser.
Okay. Were you taking shots with a shot glass or just kind of like pulling it from the bottle?
It was just like out the bottle.
So do you pick her up from her mom and sisters and then go straight to Quipetas?
Yeah.
And then we kind of mentioned this earlier, but you had to go in a different way, right? To Quipetas and she went in?
Yeah, so they didn't let me in through the back. So we both went to the front.
Okay. And then did you continue drinking inside the bar?
Yeah, I did.
What were you drinking there? If you remember.
I don't remember
Okay.
exactly what it was.
Was it hard alcohol?
I want to say it was mixed in a cup. I didn't order it,
Okay.
but
It was like a drink in a cup.
yeah, but I had alcohol.
Okay. How drunk did you feel when you were at Quipetas?
Pretty drunk.
Pretty drunk. Like stumbling over drunk or just a little less than that?
A little less than that.
And then was Hosanna still drinking in Quipetas?
Yeah, she was.
You guys, how long were you all there for? Do you know?
I'm not really sure the exact time.
A few hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to any other bars that night?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you see Christopher Dickerson inside Quipetas?
No, I did not.
Do you remember seeing a few photos, I think from Mario Carrasco and Elizabeth Flores, who were working there at the time? The prosecution had played, I think, some of their videos. Do you remember seeing those?
Yeah, with the music in the background.
Sorry?
With the music in the background?
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember.
Okay, and do you remember kind of when we were looking at those videos that Mr. Dickerson was standing by a pool table?
Yeah.
Did you ever see him standing by a pool table?
No, I didn't ever see that.
What were you doing in Quipetas, essentially, besides drinking?
Drinking, and then we were dancing.
Was it just you and Hosanna there? Well, I mean, there's a bunch of people there, but I suppose people that you knew. Did you have other friends there?
Yeah, I had a friend there.
Did you spend a lot of time with her?
A little bit.
Did you ever get into it with Javi?
No, I did not.
Did you say hi to him?
No.
Yeah. So ultimately, do you all leave Quipetas?
Yes.
When do you leave, or why do you leave?
There was a fight that had broke up between some girls. I don't know about, but then they kind of like told everybody they had to like.
Okay. And then what do you do when you all leave?
She had got an after party from one of her friends.
Who's she?
Hosanna.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So Hosanna gets an after party from one of her friends. Do you go to that after party?
No, we couldn't find her.
Okay. What do you mean you couldn't find her?
Her friend.
Like outside the bar?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't find her friend for the after party. So then what happens?
We're kind of just like, 'cause she couldn't remember her name to message her.
Okay.
So we kind of just drove around, kind of looking for her friend.
Were you kind of driving around in the same area that you heard Detective Burrows talk a lot about with the
Yeah.
surveillance on 8th Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever kind of leave that area when we're talking about you driving around?
No, it was just kind of like in a complete circle.
Okay. And again, are you still in the Malibu?
Yeah,
Who was driving?
I was driving.
Why were you driving?
She wanted to redo her makeup or like touch it up.
Did you ultimately see Mr. Dickerson at one point?
Walking down the alley.
Okay. When you guys were driving around?
Yeah.
And how did you end up kind of talking with him?
He kind of was like, hey, but like I don't remember the exact things. I remember like Hosanna wanting, like them talking about like a whole like after party. Like we're looking for after party. He was like, well, I got drinks in my house, And so,
Okay.
yeah, we just kind of went.
Do you remember, you see him in a car, do you remember how you guys engaged with each other enough for him to come to your car? Does that make sense?
Yeah. He said, hey, like
Okay.
kind of like trying to like look in, and I was like, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what side of the car he came up to?
I just remember like, I don't remember what side he walked up to, but I remember like the whole conversation.
Okay.
Not like the whole thing, but like I do remember like the most of it.
Okay. Okay. Of him being at the car.
Yeah.
And then do you remember then him saying, that's fine, I can do an after party, essentially?
Yeah.
Objection leading.
I'll
And
allow,
she's
I'll,
testifying.
I'll allow that question.
Okay. So, do you want me to repeat it?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Yeah. He essentially comes up to you all. Does he say, I've got an after party, or like, I can have one, I've got drinks at the house?
Yeah, because we told him we were looking for one.
Okay. And you had never seen him, or had you ever seen him before?
I never have.
How did you feel when he came up to your car?
It was like, I feel like something a lot of people do.
Okay. It didn't make you nervous?
Not really, no.
Was he by himself?
Yeah, I believe so.
Did that make you nervous?
No.
How did the conversation go for you all to then drive separately to his house versus all getting in the car together?
Well, he wanted to get in the back, and I was like, well, we'll just follow you to your car,
Why didn't you want him to get in the back?
I mean, I don't know, just like the whole thing of like, because it's my mom's car, so I'm not gonna have somebody I don't know in my mom's car, Then like the whole thing with like just having somebody in there that I don't,
Okay. So I want to maybe clarify, and I apologize if I'm misunderstanding. You weren't necessarily afraid of him, but just a general stranger getting into the car wasn't something you wanted to do?
Me personally, no.
Okay. And so we talked a little bit about you guys doing after parties often. Was it common for you to go to after parties not knowing whose house it was?
Yeah.
Was it common for you to go to after parties not really knowing who would be at the after party?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel with your social anxiety?
It was kind of like hard for me to do it at first, but like I feel like, well, this is good practice to try to change that. So like I was trying to always look the bright side of it.
Okay. You mentioned when you picked Hosanna up from her sister and mom's that you guys were drinking in the car. Did the two of you drink a little bit more on your way to Mr. Dickerson's?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But I would imagine so. That's what we would do,
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about when you first get to his house, okay? Who was all there when you first got to his house?
Nobody was there.
Just the three of you?
Yeah, and then
You said and then. Did I stop you?
the dog.
The dog. Okay.
That's it.
What were you drinking at his house?
It was I'm pretty sure it was Ciroc,
Okay. Why are you sure it was Ciroc? Or pretty sure?
because the bottle looked like Ciroc.
Okay. Were you drinking any beer?
There was like some drinks. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was beer, but it tasted,
Maybe a pumpkin beer?
no.
Okay.
Objection leading.
I'll sustain the objection.
Did you drink a pumpkin beer?
No.
And when you guys, so I kind of want to break up the time that you were at Mr. Dickerson's house, okay? So we heard throughout the trial that you first get there. Hosanna said you leave to go pick up his friend Dolores Feehill and then drop her off, and then you all go back to the house, okay? So I want to start off the first time you were there before leaving to go pick up Dolores.
Okay.
When you were there and you continued drinking, how drunk did you feel at that point?
I was pretty drunk.
How drunk? Like, what were you doing? Like, was this room spinning or?
It wasn't necessarily spinning, but I did throw up.
You threw up?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did you, in the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay. How many times?
Within the whole night or during this period?
Just during the first time we're at his house?
once.
Just once, okay. After you threw up, did you keep drinking?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, she was like, stop being a bee. So then I was like, all right, threw up, you know? She's like, it's okay.
Okay. At this point, when you're pretty drunk, in your opinion, how drunk was Hosanna?
Honestly, all I was really focused on is how nauseous I felt at the moment.
And how nauseous?
So at that, how nauseous I was at the moment. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
You can, I don't know if you want to move it closer. Is it easier?
I'll just lean.
Okay. So, not really quite sure how drunk she was, right?
Yeah, at the moment I wasn't sure.
Okay. When you guys were all at the house, what were you doing, the three of you?
Before that car ride,
Yes.
we were just kind of like, we're in the kitchen for a little bit. They went to the living room to hear music and stuff like that, conversation here and there.
Okay. What room for music, did you say?
In the living room.
In the living room. Did you guys primarily hang out in the living room?
It was like back and forth everywhere, I feel.
Okay. The house isn't that big, right?
No.
Okay. So if you're back and forth, where are you back and forth from?
The kitchen, living room.
Okay. So listening to music, having conversations. Did any of the conversations at this point get kind of heated?
At this point, no.
When you're there, did you ever ask Mr. Dickerson if more people were going to come over?
Yeah, I did it a couple times.
Did anybody else come over?
No.
How did that make you feel?
I was kind of just, well, he kept telling me they were coming or that they'll be there soon, you know?
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, you know, probably just, some people just take forever to get ready, you know, so.
Okay. So ultimately, do you remember at one point leaving to go pick up his friend?
Yeah, I do.
And why did you all leave? Hosanna had explained this in a little bit of detail. She had said that it seemed like he was ignoring a phone call or something like that. Can
Yeah.
you kind of tell us what happened from your perspective in regard to that?
Well, how it happens, like, she did start, like, calling him and stuff like that.
Who's she? Sorry.
Delorious.
Oh, okay. His friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he seemed kind of, like, frustrated. So we're kind of like, you know, and, like, I guess she was having problems with somebody. He was, like, frustrated. He was like, I don't know if I should go pick her up. And I was like, well, obviously, like, if she's going through something, go pick her up, you know?
Okay. When you say he seemed frustrated, can you explain, like, physically how that seemed to you?
Well, he was just saying, like, bad words at the phone.
Like swearing?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he slamming things down or anything like that?
Well, no, he was just on the phone looking at it, saying bad words.
Okay. So more of his voice.
Yeah.
So ultimately, do you all decide to go pick up Miss Feehill?
Yeah.
And do you go with them?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Why do you all go together?
I don't know. It's just the car ride, I guess.
Okay.
I just kind of just followed suit with them. I was like, okay. Okay. I kind of just followed suit with them.
Okay. So you go and pick up Miss Feehill. On the way to get her, what is the situation in the car? Is everything kind of friendly? What are you doing?
Well, yeah, the music was playing most of the time, but it was pretty good.
All right. Did you have a drink with you in the car?
I did.
What were you drinking?
It was one of the drinks that he had handed me. I want to believe it was a beer. Yeah.
Beer? Okay. And then what happens when you pick Dolores up? What does she do?
She was kind of like, we had drove around for a little bit, kind of like, he didn't know exactly where she was at, but then we ended up finding her on the side of the road.
Okay.
And then she had all kinds of bags with her, and she kind of just seemed like very, like, emotional. She kind of just threw her bags in the bag.
And were you and Hosanna sitting in the back?
Yeah, we were.
Okay, the bags hit you?
Yeah, it hit me in the face, so I just laughed.
Okay. So she gets into the car, then what happens?
Nothing. Well, we drive to go drop her off.
Okay. Was it kind of close to where you picked her up?
So we had picked her up. I don't know if you know where the Tarumada is at.
Yeah.
It's like a blue store, Mexican store. And so from there, we dropped her off like over there by the school, the college, UNC.
Okay. So everything's kind of in this like general area, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's more down the street.
Perfect. You drop her off, then what happens? Do the three of you go back to his house?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the vibe in the car after you drop Dolores off?
So like I had calmed down a little bit. Obviously, we weren't nothing. They were talking, so music wasn't as loud. We were kind of just trying to respect the conversation. We're just quiet.
Sorry, I just want to stop you. Respect the conversation between Mr. Dickerson and Dolores?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we kind of just obviously kept it down while they were talking. You know? And so we dropped her off. The music turned back on, and obviously like the vibe got hyped up again, you know. And so we started hearing music, and then we took some pictures.
Okay. You said hyped up again. Do you mean that in a positive way?
Yeah.
Okay. So having fun in the car.
Yeah.
All right. Who's taking photos?
Hosanna was.
Of the two of you?
Yeah, just me and her.
Okay. What, like on Snapchat?
I don't know what it was on.
Okay. And you all drive back then to his house right after you drop her off, Dolores off.
Yeah, we do.
Was there ever a time when you were in the car where you were getting uncomfortable feelings about Mr. Dickerson?
No.
Were you scared of him in the car?
No, I wasn't.
Did you feel threatened by him in the car?
No.
Did you ever think in your mind, when we get back to the house, I am going to kill him?
No.
So when you get back to Mr. Dickerson's house, do you all just go back inside?
Yeah, we do.
And what happens when you go back inside? Do you continue drinking?
Yeah.
How much?
We started pouring more shots and stuff like that.
Of Ciroc?
Yeah.
Who's pouring shots?
He started off pouring shots at first, and then Hosanna did a little bit, then so did I.
Okay.
So it's like all of us.
Okay. How drunk are you at this point?
I'm pretty drunk.
Again, we talked about maybe you puking, you know, but can you give us an example maybe of how drunk you were? I mean, are we falling over or are we?
Not necessarily falling over, but I was pretty drunk to a point where I was like kind of spilling stuff.
Okay. Did you get sick again?
Yeah.
Okay. I see you laugh. Are you embarrassed?
Yeah.
Are you embarrassed by getting sick?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this kind of one of those times where we talked about it's not necessarily you laughing because you think it's funny, but more just kind of.
Objection leading.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Ms. Trujillo, if you want to rephrase that.
Sure. Why are you laughing?
I'm just nervous.
You're nervous.
Yeah.
How drunk is Mr. Dickerson, in your opinion, at this point, when you guys get back to the house?
I mean, I didn't really know him, so I can't say for sure, like, how drunk. He wasn't, like, stumbling or nothing.
Okay.
But he could have been drunk, like, but I honestly was just nauseous.
Okay. At this point, when you guys are back at the house and you're playing music and continuing to drink, does anybody else show up?
No.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, I had asked him again. He's like, they're coming. He's like, he just kind of stopped talking. I was like, oh, okay.
Did you want to leave at that point?
Not really. I was kind of just like there, like just neutral.
Okay. Did Hosanna want to leave?
No,
How do you know that?
because she was, I mean, I feel like I know her pretty well. So I was like, I know when she's like wants to be there and when she doesn't.
Okay. But it appeared to you that she was having a good time?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever see Mr. Dickerson touch Hosanna's butt?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did he ever touch your butt?
Yeah, he did.
When?
Just like, it was like twice when I was like passing like the door frame of like from the kitchen entering the living room.
Okay. So leaving from the kitchen, going to the living room?
Yeah.
How did he grab your butt?
How?
Yeah.
He was kind of just like
Just like a tap.
Yeah, so I kind of just, I was like, oh, maybe he was an accident, you know? Because people, like, when they walk, some people sway their hands and stuff like that. So I didn't really think too much of it.
Was there ever a time where he did it again and you did think something of it?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh, well, we were outside smoking in front of the house. And Hosanna had went in, then I went in, and then he came in after me. But this wasn't like a thing. It was more like I would say more like a pinch.
A pinch?
Yeah.
2 fingers?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But that's what I felt.
It felt like a pinch.
Yeah.
Did you ever confront him about it?
No.
Why didn't you?
I don't know. I'm just shy. So I kind of just left it.
Okay. Did you ever feel kind of uncomfortable or felt unsafe if he touched your butt?
It threw me off for a little bit, but I try to just like, that's maybe just my head, you know? I'm just gonna leave it.
Okay. Did you ever think he was going to hurt you when he was touching your butt?
No.
Okay. Throughout the time that you were at the home, so we can start the first time you go, post dropping off Dolores and then going back. Did you ever feel that Mr. Dickerson was showing Hosanna more attention than you?
No.
No. Okay. Did you feel that he was showing you the equal amount of attention as Hosanna?
Yeah, but when he would like try to ask me,
Yeah, go ahead.
when he would like try to ask me stuff, I would just kind of just be like, oh, like try to put it on her, because like I don't really like to like, I guess like socialize and stuff.
Okay. What kind of things would he ask you that you would put off on Hosanna?
It was just basic stuff, like basic stuff.
Like where you worked?
Yeah.
And just generally, you were just kind of uncomfortable. Just
Objection, lady.
I can rephrase.
I'll allow that clarifying question. The witness can answer.
Thank you. Did you feel generally uncomfortable, not necessarily uncomfortable, but nervous just having standard conversations?
Yeah, conversations in general.
Okay. So we know, or at least we heard throughout kind of this trial, ultimately things took a turn in that house.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So can you please tell us when, things had shifted from, being a little drunk, but having a good time, listening to music, to things not going well?
Yeah. Well, like there was like little things that like led up before obviously all that, you know?
Okay. What were those little things?
Just like one time we were like in the living room and we were hearing music on a computer.
Mhm.
It was like on a stand. But the stand like moved around.
Okay.
But he had asked us if we wanted to hear a song. And Hosanna was like, do you want to play a song? And I was like, I don't care, you know? And so I ended up playing a Spanish song.
Okay.
And like he was kind of like making fun of it at first, but I would just I was like, okay, guys, and just laughed it off, you know? And then he like I feel like he started to like kind of get like frustrated with the song.
What do you mean? He got frustrated. In what situation did he get frustrated?
Well, he was like, what the fuck kind of shit is that?
About the song?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you respond?
I didn't say nothing. I just kind of just giggled a little bit.
How did that make you feel when he...
I was embarrassed.
Did that piss you off?
No.
Did you guys kind of get in an argument about it?
No, but he like got up like all mad and changed the song. I was like, okay. He just kind of left it. Like I tried to understand.
What do you mean try to understand?
Like I don't know. Like I wouldn't understand the fact that somebody that doesn't speak that language wouldn't hear that music, you know?
Okay. So you move on from the song?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens after that? You said the little things. Did something else happen after the song?
Well, that was basically it.
Okay. What do you guys all do after he changes the song?
Nothing. We heard music for a little bit more. Then we went to go take more shots in the kitchen.
Okay. So you go into the kitchen. How many more shots do you take, if you can remember?
I want to say like 2 or 3.
Okay. Each?
They're like half shots.
Okay. But 2 or 3 half shots each?
Yeah.
What kind of, is this different if you're taking shots versus just taking it out of the bottle?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess, let me clarify that. Were you just drinking it from the bottle?
No, it was in a cups the whole time.
Okay. What size were those cups?
It was probably like the size of like double this cup.
Like a Dixie cup?
Yeah.
Okay. Were the shots all the way up to the top of that?
Oh no.
When you're talking about half shots, are we talking about like half of a Dixie cup size?
Oh, that would be if it like a regular shot or more. So they were like a little bit less.
Okay. Did you ever take shots of water?
No.
Did you ever pour shots of water for you and Hosanna?
No.
Did you ever give Chris something to drink that you weren't drinking?
No.
So tell us what happens after that. You're taking shots in the kitchen. What's going on?
Nothing. We start to talk more about ourselves and like he just was asking questions. And then he asked us if we've ever been like to jail or prison.
We're having a conversation in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And does Mr. Dickerson share some things with you about like violence he's seen before without telling us where he saw that?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor. Same objection.
Can we approach?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, I apologize. I'm going to show you this again, okay?
Okay.
How do you feel looking at that?
Objection.
What's the basis for the objection?
Calls for sympathy.
All right, I'll overrule the objection.
Ms. Rodriguez, how do you feel looking at that?
A lot of emotions, like
Can you tell us what an emotion, does it make you nervous?
yeah.
Bleeding.
I'll allow the question.
Are you scared?
I wouldn't necessarily say scared, but somewhat.
Okay. Can you explain what that somewhat is about?
Like I feel like it's just like the main thing that goes back to.
Does it bring you back to October 3rd?
Yeah, it does.
Is that difficult to talk about?
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk about it a little bit, okay?
Okay.
So, we were talking about the shiv that he showed you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Is that a piece of it?
Yes.
Did a piece break off at one point?
Yes, it did.
And we're going to get into that, okay?
Okay.
I want to, going to move this, okay?
Okay.
Did Mr. Dickerson ever share with you fights he had been in before?
Yeah, he did.
When we were talking about a conversation, do you remember us just talking about before the break a conversation you all were having in the kitchen?
Yes.
Did that come up in that conversation you had in the kitchen?
Yes, it did.
And without saying, where these occurred, okay? Besides the conversation in the kitchen, but what he's telling you, okay? Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay. Can you please tell us what he said about the fights without saying where they occurred?
Like what he did or what he seen?
What he did.
He said that he would fight and that he would always have that thing with him.
Okay. When we talk about that thing, are we talking about that file?
Yeah.
Okay. And did he tell you that he always had that with him before or after you saw it?
After he showed it to us.
Okay. So just for clarity purposes, did he tell you about the fights before you saw that?
No, it was after he brought it out.
Okay, so that conversation happened in
Yeah,
at one
all that
time.
happened after.
Okay. And are you still in the kitchen?
Yeah.
When he tells you that he got in fights before and always had that on him, how did that make you feel?
Uncomfortable.
Why?
Because, I don't know, it's just not something, that's not what a normal conversation would go to, so I'm just like, oh,
Okay. At that point, did you start to feel a little nervous about being around him?
Yes, I did.
Leaving.
I will sustain the objection. If you want to rephrase, go ahead.
Were you nervous to be around him?
Yeah, I was.
Was that after that conversation you had?
Yeah.
Was it after seeing that file?
Yes.
What made you feel uncomfortable or nervous?
Just the fact that he brought it out after I had, yeah.
Okay. Was it after you had asked him a question?
Yeah.
And when you had asked him a question, was it kind of just about the fights and what he had gone through?
Yeah.
And did you ask him about the fights and what he had gone through? And what did you ask him?
I don't know how to say that without like.
Okay. Yeah. Did you ask him that having the fights with that weapon on him, did you ask him if that made him a man?
Objection leading.
Not specifically.
And Ms. Rodriguez, I have to rule on the objection first. I'll allow that question.
Okay. Do you want me to re-ask that?
Yeah.
Okay. When he was telling you that he had gotten in fights before with other people and had always had that file on him, the shiv that you called it, did you ask him if that made him a man?
Yeah, but not particularly to that.
What do you mean to that? Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
That's helpful. When you asked him, does that make you a man? What did you mean by asking him that?
About where he was at, when these places took place.
Yeah. Were you trying to put him down?
No.
Okay. Were you more or less asking him if that made him a
Leading.
I'm going to allow the leading question given the record I previously made.
Did you ask him if that made him a man in the sense of it made him grow up?
Yeah, it was more like a general question along that, yes.
Okay. If it made him more mature
Yeah.
or changed who he was?
Yeah, the mindset to be better.
When you asked him that question, how did Mr. Dickerson respond?
He was upset
How could you tell he was upset?
because he like took a step closer and he's like, "Are you calling me a bitch?"
Okay.
And he's like, "What'd you say? Are you calling me a bitch?"
Can you? I just want it to be clear. You said, "Does that make you a man?" And he said, "What? Are you calling me a bitch?"
He said, "What did you say? Are you calling me a bitch?"
And what did you say?
No.
Did you try to explain what you meant by that question?
Yeah, well, he asked me to say it again, so I did.
How did you feel when he said, "Say it again"?
That I shouldn't say it again, but he kept asking me, so I felt like I had to.
Can you please tell us where you were when you were having this conversation? Just where you were first.
I was in the middle of the kitchen.
Was your back toward anything?
Not at this point, no.
Let's see. I want to see if a diagram might be helpful. I apologize. I wasn't right behind that. So, Ms. Rodriguez, I kind of want to talk about this over here. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So this conversation in the kitchen where when he's telling you that he's been in fights before and has a metal file with him all the time, and he kind of gets upset that you ask him if that made him a man, you're in this area of the home.
Yeah, kind of like a little bit in front where the word kitchen goes. Yeah, kind of like where, like right here, like right there.
Okay, what is right here? Do you remember?
It's kind of close to like I believe there's a refrigerator, and then there's like a table right here.
And then here, is this the door to go to the garage?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. When you are here and having this conversation, how does he approach you when you said he was angry?
So he was like initially standing right here, and then he takes like a step closer towards me. I'm like right here.
And then what happens?
He continues to keep getting closer, and like he starts yelling and stuff.
How close is he when he's yelling at you?
He's pretty close. Like I could feel his breath in my face.
When you are having this conversation or argument with him, are you pushed up against anything at this point?
Well, I slowly started to go back.
Okay, to this door to get to the garage?
To like the counters over here. I wasn't just walking backwards.
Okay, so you're just walking backwards blindly,
Yeah.
kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you end up by these cabinets.
Yeah.
Tell us what happens then.
I couldn't go back no more, so I started going to the side.
To this door? Or
More to the corner.
to the corner?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens when you move to the corner?
He gets in my face even closer.
He gets in your face even closer?
Yeah.
What is he looking like when he's in your face?
He's like mad yelling.
How tall is he? Is he much taller than you?
Yeah, there's a big difference.
If he was standing above you, did you have to look up at him?
Yeah, I did.
So we're moving over to the corner. What happens when you're in the corner?
He like puts his arms like on the sides of me.
Okay. So he's putting his arms on the side of you.
Yeah,
Is
it's
your
like-
back up against something?
Yeah, I was on the wall.
Okay, on the wall.
Yeah.
And the wall in the corner by the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Away from the cabinets.
Yeah.
And you said his hands are on the wall,
Yeah, but like on the sides of me.
on the sides of you,
Yeah.
above your shoulders?
No, like right at them.
Okay. Is he touching you?
No.
You said he's yelling at you?
Yeah.
What is he saying?
So you call me a bitch? He keeps like repeating the same thing over.
Is he yelling at you?
Yeah.
You said that his face was close to you, but he was taller than you. So was he looking down on you?
Yeah, he was.
Could you feel his breath?
Yeah.
Could you feel anything else coming from his face?
Yeah, he was kind of like spitting a little bit, so it was kind of hitting me in my face.
Did you feel like he was intentionally spitting on you?
I don't feel like he was intentionally spitting on me, but I feel like just like the whole thing of like the whole yelling and like being angry, like he like lost control of his like saliva or something because it was hitting me.
Okay. What happens then? He has his hands on either side of you, towering over you, yelling in your face where you can feel his breath. What happens next?
Give me just a second here. I'll allow the question as to what happened next.
I'll rephrase. Or I will say it again. You're in the corner. His arms are over you. He is leaning over you, yelling in your face, saying, "Did you call me a bitch?" You can feel his breath and his spit. What happens?
Well, I kind of just like, I was trying not to make eye contact or nothing because I didn't want to do something that was going to like escalate the situation. So I wasn't trying to make him think I was like trying to stand up to him. So I wasn't making eye contact. So I was kind of just looking off to the side.
Okay. Where's Hosanna?
She's like right next to me.
What is she saying?
Well, at first I think like it caught her off guard.
Okay. Does she ever say anything?
Yeah, she does.
What does she say?
She tells him to get off of me.
What do you do at that point?
When he turned around to look at her, I pushed him back.
Tell me about how you pushed him back.
So he's like right in front of my face, and when he turned to look at Hosanna, when she had told him to get off of me or get away from me, when he turned, I like just pushed him off me.
How hard did you push him?
Honestly, in that moment, I really don't know.
Okay. Where did he go?
He didn't go.
Well, I mean, you pushed him. What happened?
He went back.
Okay. Did he stumble over his feet?
Yeah, he stumbled over his feet, but he didn't fall to the ground.
Okay. Did he run into anything when you pushed him?
He kind of like grabbed the refrigerator.
Can you show us here? If you're in this corner still, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the refrigerator?
Like right here somewhere.
Okay. Yep. So is this the refrigerator?
Yeah, that's right there.
Okay. So you push him back. Does he come this way and grab onto the refrigerator?
Yeah, like on the side of it, kind of.
Okay. What do you do when he grabs onto the refrigerator?
During this whole moment, I grabbed Hosanna's hand. Then, yeah,
What happens?
I tried to leave.
Where did you go?
Towards the front door.
Okay. So now we are here, and
Yeah.
you are trying to get to the front door. Show me how that happens.
So he's like right here, like obviously out of balance after that. And so Hosanna was like right here. So I came this way, I grabbed her hand, and like we like ran, but I couldn't get the door open. It was like, I don't know if it was like my nerves getting in the way or like there's something wrong with the lock, which I still don't know, you know?
Okay. What happens at the door?
Couldn't get my hands to get it open.
Okay. And then what happened?
He pulled Hosanna.
When you had left the kitchen and went to the door, was Mr. Dickerson behind you?
Well, I wasn't looking back. Obviously, my only thing I was focusing on is getting to the front door.
Okay. When you get to the front door, you said he grabbed Hosanna's arm.
Well, he grabbed her like shirt. I don't know if he had grabbed her hand before that but like what I had seen, it was a shirt.
Okay. And then what happened?
I told him to leave her alone.
And what did you do after that?
So like I kind of like moved her, and then he pushed me
How did he push you?
onto the couch
Can you explain how he pushed you onto the couch?
with his hands.
Okay. Did he use both hands?
Yeah, he did.
When he pushed you, did you lose your balance?
Yeah,
How did you fall into the couch?
kind of sideways.
Okay. Were you on your back?
I was more on my side.
Can you explain that a little bit? So if you're on your side on the couch, are you like on a side like this, or just kind of halfway on the couch?
I was like all the way on the couch, but it was like, yeah, more on my side.
Where were your legs?
One was like kind of dangling off the couch, one was all the way on the couch.
Where were your arms?
Like this.
Okay. Where was Mr. Dickerson?
Right in front of me, but then
But then what?
he came on me.
What happened when he came on you?
I like just try to back up, but it like, so at this point, like I'm already like all the way on the couch.
Okay.
And so he gets on top of me and he's like holding my arms down. And he's like still yelling, and he's like,
How was he holding your arms?
he was like kind of just up here. He was like cuffed, but it was like both of them. So he's like over me with one leg on the floor, and then one leg was on me. And then he,
Okay. If you are on the couch, Mr. Dickerson is holding your arms like this. Is that fair to say?
yeah.
He has one leg on the ground
Mm-hmm.
and is the other leg up on the couch holding you down.
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to get away?
At that moment, no.
Did you try to wiggle away?
Yeah, obviously, yes.
Okay. What did you do?
I kind of just kept going, like trying to like get his hands off me. And so I ended up like, he just wouldn't get off me. So I ended up like, I was trying to reach for something. So I ended up grabbing a bottle.
What kind of bottle?
I want to believe it was, I'm not 100% sure. It might have been a Budweiser, but at that point I was ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens when you try to grab a bottle?
I ended up like barely reaching the tip of it. So I was like putting it closer, trying to reach it. And then I eventually got it with like the tips of my fingers. So I ended up like grabbing it. And I just went like that, but it went over him.
Okay. Where was the beer bottle when you grabbed it?
It was on the floor, like when you're like, when you're in like the couch, like, you know, like the part that like usually goes behind your legs.
Okay.
So like on the floor right in front of the couch.
Okay. Did you grab the top, like the neck of the bottle?
Yeah.
Was he still holding onto your arms?
Yeah, he was.
So how did you throw that?
I kind of just, he was still holding me down, but I just went like,
Okay. Did it hit him?
no.
Do you know where it went?
It went over him. I know that.
Okay. What happened after you threw the bottle?
And like the whole thing continued, and I just kept telling him, I was like, please, please, you know, like,
Okay. Did he get off of you?
no.
What happened next?
So I continued to yell at him, and I don't know why any other words didn't come out. Like, I don't know, like why I was just saying please at the moment, you know, but Hosanna goes and brings that thing he was just recently showing us.
Okay. Where did she get it from? Do you know?
No, I didn't even see her. I wasn't at that moment, wasn't paying attention, like when or you know how long she had it, or like I don't know.
Did you ask her to grab it for you?
No, I didn't.
So she brings it over,
Yeah.
and then what happens?
He grabs it.
Did you feel that she was giving it to him?
For a long time, like I feel like my mind has went back and forth on it. Like she might have just not even been knowing what she was doing.
Okay.
Like, in my opinion, you know, like she was drunk, you know, like, but like, I feel like that's more of like a situation like where sometimes you won't react like fast, you know, like that's a situation where you have to like think like fast. And a lot of people don't think accurate when that happens. Like, I don't think at that moment that she thought in my head, like, this guy's, why would you bring that? Like, you know, the situation's already this, you know, like you bringing that just gonna, yeah.
So he grabs it. And then what happens?
I was able to kind of like slide onto the floor.
Tell me how you were able to slide onto the floor.
So when he grabbed it, he got one hand off of me.
Okay. Where did he, so if, right, like you just saw me pretending that I was on top of you holding your arms down. He grabs it with what, how?
With that hand.
With this hand?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what does he do?
He grabs it, and then like I'm like obviously trying my hardest to like just leave from like away from him, you know? So I like got onto the floor, but like because only one of his legs was positioned on the floor. So sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
When I had fell onto the floor, that one leg that he was keeping his balance on, he like obviously lost it because I went to the floor, you know? So when all that happened, I'm on the already going, so like he fell as well, but he pulled me, so like it was like kind of like a semi-roll.
Okay. When you all rolled, where did you roll onto?
The floor.
Okay, okay. And then when you rolled onto the floor, how was he grabbing you? Was he grabbing you?
Yeah, he was grabbing me with my shirt right here.
Okay. With one hand?
Yeah, it would be his right hand.
What was his other hand doing?
Yeah, it was holding the thing.
Okay. What were you doing?
Oh, no, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I'm just like.
Take a moment.
Okay.
Okay. So you get onto the ground.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing when he's holding on to you with one hand?
Obviously trying to get his hand away.
Okay.
Because when he grabbed me, he like went kind of like across and pulled me, you know? So.
When you were on the ground.
Yeah.
And his other hand had held that.
Yeah, but it was like, he grabbed like, so like.
Do you want me to come over there?
Yeah. It was kind of like, this hand went like on this side. So he kind of like grabbed me like.
This?
Yeah. But like, it was like.
This?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what?
So we rolled after that.
And then this hand has the metal file in it. So my right
Objection.
hand.
Counsel's testifying again. I'd ask her to come back to the lectern.
I'll allow the clarification given the witness's previous testimony.
It's up here in the right hand.
Yeah.
And while this is happening, are you on the ground? Okay.
Sure. All right. Mr. Hill, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Stacy, I want to just clarify one point, and then we will talk about what happened on the ground, okay?
Okay.
That shiv we've been talking about, did you believe that that had been used before in a violent situation?
Yes, I did.
Objection. Same objection we previously had.
I'm sorry. Give me just a second here. All right. Mr. Hill, I'll allow that limited question, but I'll ask that you mind my previous rule.
Yes.
Your Honor, may we just approach briefly?
So Stacy, when we're talking about that file, okay, and you were shown that file by Mr. Dickerson, did you learn from him that that file had taken countless souls before?
Yeah, he did say that.
Okay. So I want to go back to the couch when he has that in his hand. What is happening when you are on the floor?
We're on the floor.
You're on the floor.
We kind of like, well, at this point, we're already on our sides.
Can you say what side you were on?
Right.
Okay. Was he on his left?
Yeah, but he was like half laying down
Okay.
and half on his side.
Half on his side?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened?
I sat up a little bit and I was trying to get it out of his hand.
You were trying to get out of his hand?
Yeah.
How?
So I went over him and I kept hitting his hand on the floor so he could let it go.
When you say you were getting over him, were you almost sitting up a little bit more?
Yeah.
Was he still on his side?
Yeah, why I sat up?
Okay. And then you had two hands on his hands to get it off,
Yeah.
to get it out of his hands? Okay.
Objection leading.
I'll sustain that objection. If you want to rephrase, Ms. Trujillo, go ahead.
Did you have two hands on him?
On his one hand, yeah.
Okay. And why did you have two hands on him?
Because I'm obviously not strong enough to get it out of his hand with the one hand, but I was just trying to like hit it out of his hand. So like my hand was like on his palm and I was just hitting on the floor so he could let it go.
Okay. Where is his other hand?
On my shirt still.
In the same way that we just looked at grabbing you here?
I was like more down here at this point.
Okay. So is he consistently trying to grab you?
Yeah.
What happens after that?
He eventually let it go and I grabbed it, but then he like pushed me with my face and I fell back. And then so at this point it's already in my hand, you know? And so like, and I don't know how many times I had did it, but I just was like going like that. But like, yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me how, when you say I was just going like that, can you tell me what you were doing?
Well, it was in my hand.
Okay. And what was in your hand?
That thing.
Okay. And did you use that thing on Mr. Dickerson at that point?
Yes, I did.
How did you do that?
Well, I was just going like this.
Okay. Were you looking at it?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. What happened when you went like this?
Well, at that moment, I didn't think anything, you know? And then he still was continuing to grab me, so I was kept kicking him, and I sat up again. And that's when I just, that's when happened again and it broke.
Okay. Is this difficult to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to ask you a few more questions, okay?
Okay.
When he gets up and you kind of get up and you said it broke, can you tell me how it broke?
Well, when I like, obviously like we're still fighting over this thing, you know? So when I had did it the last time, I like fell when I did it and it broke.
Okay. When you say you did it the last time, do you mean stabbing him the last time?
Yeah, but I didn't know there was more times before that one time.
Okay.
I didn't know that I had hit him.
Can you explain that to me? Like, why didn't you know?
Because I wasn't looking while I was doing it.
When did you realize it was more than once?
When I seen Discovery.
Okay. What happened when it broke?
I kind of like, because when I was, all this would happen, obviously, like, I had felt, like, on him, you know?
Okay.
And I, like, scooted back, and I, like, had went on my butt, and then I just scooted back. Like, just with my legs, I pushed myself, and I, like, was slid back.
Okay. You said that you kind of fell on him and it broke. Can you tell me where you were sitting or how you were sitting before you fell?
I was, like, I had one knee up, and the other one was, like, out.
Were you still on the floor?
Yeah.
One knee out, like you weren't balancing on that knee?
Oh, I was...
Objection calls for.
Give me just a
leading,
second.
Calls for speculation.
I'll allow that question. The witness can answer.
You had one knee up and you said the other leg out. Can you explain to me? I can try to do this.
I was maintaining my balance on one knee Well, the other one was like just,
You were leaning on one knee?
And Your Honor, I'll give permission for the witness to describe it. She can get down, but I don't think it's proper for counsel to testify and reenact it.
Okay, so I'm not interested what you're giving permission for anybody to do. That's something for me to determine. Ms. Trujillo, it appears to me that the witness has sufficiently been able to answer the questions without a demonstration, so I'll ask that you just continue to proceed
Okay.
with the questioning.
So you have the one knee that you're on, and the metal file breaks. I want to ask you a little bit about the breaking part, okay? I'm not going to bring it to you, but I need to see it myself. When you saw this, there was a sharper end. Is that fair?
I believe so.
Okay. Is this the part that broke?
I think it was the other side that broke because there was like a handle to it.
Okay. So the top part here that looks curved, was that always like that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't believe so though.
Okay. Do you remember what the handle was made out of or what it looked like for it to break?
Oh, I didn't really like get a close look at it. Like when he had showed it to us, it was like not close enough to get detailed, but I did see what it looked like. So I don't know where like I guess how would I say it? Where it would stop being like metal. I'm not sure about that part.
That's okay.
I just remember seeing like the grip. I don't know if it ended where the handle or like it continued. I don't know.
When you grabbed the file from him, did you look at it, manipulate it before doing something with it?
No, it was on the heat of the moment.
Sorry?
It was on the heat of the moment.
Okay. What made you finally sit back and scoop back?
When I had realized that it broke, and I obviously did it.
Was Mr. Dickerson moving at that point?
No, no.
Do you know?
No, I don't know. I just kept looking at my hand and like the whole thing that, yeah.
Okay. I want to take a pause right here, okay? Let's go to the kitchen. At what point in the kitchen did you feel the need to defend yourself?
When he was in my face.
Was this when his arms were on either side of you?
Yeah.
When you left the kitchen and tried to go out the front door, when did you feel like you needed to protect yourself?
When I what?
When you went into the kitchen, to the living room from the kitchen, and tried to leave the front door, when did you feel like you needed to protect yourself?
He grabbed Hosanna.
And why did you feel like you needed to protect yourself then?
Because I don't know what was his mindset at the moment.
Okay.
Like, obviously, like, after what he just did, you know, like, obviously, I'm going to be very cautious, you know?
Okay. Was there ever a point when you were with Mr. Dickerson in the kitchen or the living room that you felt he could have killed you?
Yeah.
When was that?
When Hosanna came in with that thing and he grabbed it. Like, obviously, like, that's not the first thing that pops into somebody's head, you know? Like, not gonna think, like, oh, you know? Like, my thought, it was like, he's gonna fuck me up, you know? Like, I'm just gonna get beat up, you know? Like, that was my, like, initial thought with the whole thing before Hosanna had brought that.
Why did it shift for you when she brought that over?
Because obviously, like, that knife that he said he had used before, you know?
Okay. Did he ever make any motions where it looked like he was going to try to use that on you?
Well, yeah, it was in my face.
Okay. When you grabbed it out of his hand, did you feel that you had any other option?
No.
Did you feel that if you would not have acted, that you would be harmed?
Yeah.
That you could have been severely beat up?
Objection leading.
I'll sustain the objection.
Did you feel like you could have been severely beat up?
Yes.
Did you feel like he could have killed you?
Yes.
Was that going through your mind at the time?
Yeah.
Is that why you acted?
Yes.
Stacy, did you feel like you had any other options?
No.
Ask and answer, Judge.
I'll allow the question.
No, right? Okay. I want to kind of talk about what happens afterwards, okay?
Okay.
Do you need a moment?
No, it's fine.
So you said that you scooted back and you were looking at your hands.
Yeah.
Can you remember kind of what happened afterwards, after you kind of got out of that moment?
I just dropped the thing right there on the floor.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I just kept looking at my hand
Why were you looking at your hand?
because I had blood on it.
What did you do after that?
I just sat there. I didn't know what to do.
Where was Hosanna?
Standing right there.
Did she say anything to you?
Not for a little bit.
Ultimately, did you get up off the floor?
Yeah, I stood up.
Where did you go?
I stood right there and I was like, just like I felt like I couldn't even feel my body, so I just didn't move, after I stood up.
How long did it kind of, I don't know if you can even answer, how long it took you to kind of start moving again?
I don't know.
Okay. So after you stand up and you're looking at your hand, did you ever move Mr. Dickerson?
No.
Did you go into any other part of the house after that?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
So do you want me to explain the whole thing?
Yes, please.
So after I had stood up, Hosanna had said, she was just like looking at me. And I looked at her and like it was like, I don't know, I didn't say nothing. She was like, kill the dog. And I was like, what? Like all I said was wet. And she kind of was like, oh, like, and then like, I kind of just like, I didn't know what to do. And she said, we need to check for cameras.
Did you?
I didn't. I kind of was just like, I feel like at this moment, like everything was like, I don't know how to explain it.
It's okay. Okay, so she said, we've got to look for cameras. What did you do?
I just watched her for a while. Thank you.
Okay. You just watched him for a little bit, you said?
Watched her.
Watched her.
Yeah.
What was Hosanna doing?
She went in the kitchen, she went under the sink.
Okay. What did she grab under the kitchen sink?
She grabbed this bottle that was like, it was like straight, but like the nozzle was like sideways.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was like I think it was like for the toilet, like when you go like that and it just.
Like the toilet bowl cleaner?
No, it wasn't the clean. It was like the clean solution.
Okay, the bottle of the toilet bowl cleaner.
Yeah.
Did you all talk about needing to clean up?
No, she just said she was gonna check for cameras and she started doing that.
Okay. What did she do with the toilet bowl cleaner?
She started putting it on the doorknobs.
Did she say why she was doing that?
No.
Did you try to stop her?
No, I did not.
Did you even think about trying to stop her?
No, I wasn't thinking at the moment.
So what happens after she's putting that on the doorknobs?
She tells me again, she's like, we have to look for the cameras. And I was like, what? You know, like I just kept saying what. She started getting frustrated.
You kept saying what, sorry?
I kept saying what.
What, okay.
Like, what are you saying? You know, and she kept just getting frustrated.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then she kind of like pulled my hand a little bit to go to the room, so I just followed her in there.
When you went into the rooms, did you know what room was Mr. Dickerson's?
No, I did not.
Were you guys ever in the bedrooms when you were at the house prior to this happening?
No.
Okay.
But
So what-
also, when I went to go throw up, I don't know how long I was in there for. Because I remember rinsing off my face
Okay,
when I was drunk. This was before all of this happened.
sure. Let's stick with you kind of just being drunk for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
When he had cornered you in the kitchen, how drunk did you feel?
I feel like, I don't want to say like I sobered up instantly, but I feel like it was like, I feel like that situation did sober me up. Like I knew exactly what was happening at that moment. I feel, you know?
Okay. You weren't as nauseous as you were before?
No, that situation took all those feelings away.
What about in the living room? Did you feel drunk then?
No.
What about after, when Hosanna grabbed your hand and moved you into the bedroom? Did you feel pretty drunk then
I feel like I couldn't feel my body.
because of alcohol?
I think it's because of what happened.
Okay. Right. So let's go into the room. What happens in the room?
She starts looking everywhere. Like at first she like kind of just looked with her eyes, and she kind of like, in a sense, kind of like scanned the room down.
Okay. What happened?
And then she started looking through his stuff.
Did she say why?
No, I didn't even ask.
Did you help?
She had handed, I kind of was just like standing there. And she had put on some gloves. And I had asked her, I was like, why do you have gloves on? And she's like, here, you put some on too.
What kind of gloves were these?
They look like the ones you wear when it's like cold outside.
Where did the gloves come from?
One of the bags. It was a backpack.
The black bag, you said?
A backpack.
A backpack, okay. Where was the backpack found?
And she found them in his closet.
In his closet. Okay. So you put gloves on. What do you do after you have your gloves on?
I was just doing the same thing. I was standing in the middle of the room, just looking at her. And I had only put one on. Okay. And I had put it on my left hand. I just kept looking at my hand.
Why did you put it on your left hand?
Because my right hand had blood on it, and I don't know why I kept looking at it.
Did you ever rummage through things in his room?
No.
You saw photos throughout this trial of Mr. Dickerson's bedroom. Do you remember seeing those?
Yeah.
And there were photos of a lot of bags on top of the bed, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember how those bags got on top of the bed, or were they already there?
I don't remember, like, if there was stuff on the bed, because I'm telling you, like, I was only focused, like, on my hand, you know, like, couldn't, believe what happened. Like, I didn't know what to do, you know? So that's what I was.
Did you ever see an engagement ring in the bedroom?
No, I didn't.
Did Hosanna ever tell you she found one?
I don't think she's ever, no.
You don't think she did?
No, she never talked about that.
So you said Hosanna had found a backpack, and you heard the prosecution throughout this trial and through discovery say that, or allege that you guys had taken the backpack. Does that sound familiar?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Mm-mm.
Did Hosanna?
Yeah, she was putting like random stuff. So she was leaving in and out of the room, and I was still just there, you know? And she came back from the other room, and she had 2 bottles of alcohol.
What kind of alcohol?
One was brown. I don't know what brand it was. It was, the glass was, it was a clear bottle but with brown liquid in it.
Okay. And what was the other one?
It was a Fireball
Where did she find that? Do you know?
in the other room.
Were you with her in the other room?
No,
Did she just tell you that's where she found it?
no, I seen her.
But you weren't in there the other room with her?
No.
Okay. How did you see her grab? You know what I mean?
So I was standing in the doorway of the room that we were in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So like if I was standing right here and the bed's like right here. And this is the closet. So I was standing right here, and then she goes all the way into this room. And I don't know what that room looks like. I never went in there. But she pulled these 2 bottles out of that room.
and so could you see her pull the 2 bottles out of the room?
Yeah. And she brings them over here.
And you're still over here.
I was really right here.
Okay. Okay. Then what happens after she brings the bottles out of that other room and meets you in Mr. Dickerson's room?
Oh, well, she sets them down in the corner of the bed, and she continues to look through stuff. And then she grabs a backpack. It was black. And she just dumps it out, like whatever's in it. She like looks through it too, but she grabs all kinds of stuff. Like there was wires, like, and then those 2 bottles, and I don't know what else.
Okay. Did she end up taking that backpack?
Yeah.
When?
She took, when she left. But she also took, she came to me and she was mad and she took the gloves from me. And she like, when she took it off, she pulled it off by my finger. So she like just snatched it off.
Okay. Did she seem upset?
Yeah.
Did she tell you why she was upset?
No, she was just kind of talking stuff. Like, she was like, fuck.
Did she seem panicked?
Honestly, at the moment, she seemed more angry.
Okay.
Like at the beginning, when she had told me to kill the dog, she did seem like somewhat panicked. Not panicked, but I would say like more scared.
What happens after the room? Do you stay in there after she's putting these things in the backpack?
Well, after she took the gloves from me, she tells me, just go there and check on him. And I just looked at her, and I like didn't say nothing. She's like, hello, did you hear me? And I just shook my head no. Like I said, and she was like, stop acting dumb already. Like, she was like, don't make me mad. And then I went, and I kind of was like scared to go over there. So like I walked slowly out, you know, out of the room. And so there's like, when you come out the room and you turn right, there's your living room. So I had looked, and I kind of just like was like cautious, I feel, you know. And then that's when I looked, and I had like seen him, and I had stood there for a while, and like I can hear her like saying something, but I feel like the feeling at the moment was like, you know, like when you like if you're like at a construction site and you put the things in so you can like know something, but you like, I don't know how to explain it.
Okay. Is that how you felt?
Yeah.
So did it feel as if you had almost like something to block out some noise, but not all noise?
Yeah, it was kind of like, it's like blurred, kind of like, yeah.
So you go out into the living room to check on him. What do you see?
He's on the floor.
He's on the floor.
Yeah.
Is he moving?
No,
Do you know?
he wasn't moving at the time, or at least like from what I seen.
What were you feeling when you went out there and looked at him on the floor?
I was scared
What were you scared about?
that he was gonna get back up.
Did you go closer to him?
No, I just looked at him from a distance.
Does Hosanna come out of the bedroom?
Yeah,
What happens when she comes out?
she's still yelling something. I don't know what she was yelling. And I'm just kind of just looking at her like, what are you saying, you know? And then she walks away, and I remember just like looking at her walk away. And she has the backpack on.
Okay. Where's she walking away to?
She outside.
What happens at that point?
Nothing. I just stood there for a little while, just looking at him because I was like, he's gonna get up, you know?
Did she tell you, come on, let's go, get out of the house?
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
I was just stuck. I didn't know what to do.
We watched some surveillance videos from some neighbors, and it looked like there was one individual in the car around 5 o'clock in the morning. And then about 3 minutes later, another individual comes out of the home and gets into the car. Do you remember seeing that?
Yeah.
Who was in the car?
Hosanna was.
Are you the one walking back outside the house?
Yeah.
What were you doing for those 3 minutes inside by yourself?
I was just looking at him. It didn't feel like that long, you know?
Did you go back to his bedroom?
No.
Did you look in his pockets?
No, I didn't.
Did Hosanna look in his pockets?
I don't know.
So why did you leave the house and get in the car with Hosanna?
I didn't know what else to do.
When you were in the house and Hosanna was outside, did it ever cross your mind to call 911?
No.
Why not?
I couldn't think about nothing at the moment. Like, I was just scared.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to like build the courage to walk past him, to leave.
Why did it take you build the courage to walk past him? Well, first tell me why, and I might have some clarifying questions.
I thought that he was just trying to trick me, that he was just like pretending he was gonna grab me as soon as I passed.
Why did you feel that way?
I don't know.
When you go to the car, we kind of watched you walk down to get into the car.
Yeah.
Why didn't you run?
I don't know.
Do you even remember why you acted that way at all?
No.
So you get in the car. Where do you guys go?
So she just starts driving. I don't know where she's driving to.
Are you telling her to go left, right, straight?
No, I was just sitting there, not talking.
So she's driving. Where do you end up?
We ended up at a gas station called the Cosmic Market.
Why did you go there?
I don't know why she went there.
What were you feeling in the car on the way there?
At that moment, I don't know, like I was just didn't know what to do. Like at that moment, I was just focused on, because we're just sitting in the car and it's quiet, and I'm just like can feel like the pulse in my neck, you know, like I can feel it, and it's just kind of like going, and I'm just like, and then like I kind of like, I feel like I was like breathing hard, you know, and like the way I felt was just, and I feel like I can't explain it.
Did you have your phone on you?
She had it.
Did you ask her for your phone at one point?
I did not.
Did you tell her we should call 911?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I was scared. I didn't know what to do.
So tell me what happens at the gas station.
She said, empty those water bottles that are in the back. We had pulled up and I told her, I was like, I'm not hungry. And she's like, we're not fucking here for food. And I was like, just side-eyed her and I was like, so she gets off, she puts this COVID mask on and she tells me, empty those bottles that are in the back. And I said, okay. She's like, and fill them up. And I was like, okay. So she goes inside. I don't believe she took that long, so I went and I filled them up.
Like this kind of water bottle?
I can't see it. Yeah.
So plastic?
Yeah, it was regular water bottle.
Did you fill them up with gasoline?
Yes.
Why?
She told me to, but I was gonna put them in the back, and she's like, no, bring them up in front with you.
What did you think you were gonna do with those?
I didn't honestly wasn't thinking about that at the moment. Like, obviously, like, that was the last thing I assumed was gonna happen.
Did Hosanna tell you why she told you to fill up the water bottles?
No.
So you fill them up. Then what happens? Where do you go?
We started driving down 23rd again. And then I'm just in the same, like, I'm still feeling the same way, you know? And
I just want to stop you real quick. When you say the same way, like feeling the pulse kind of same way?
yeah, like I couldn't feel my body and stuff like that. Like even when I was filling up, like I kept, like it was not even going in the bottle.
Okay. So you guys are driving on 23rd, and then what happens?
She makes a right.
Onto what?
I don't know what street it is. I know there's a school down that street on the right side, but I have no idea what street it is.
Okay. So what happens after she turns right?
I asked her what she was doing.
Does she respond?
She said, we're going back.
We're going back?
Yeah,
What did you tell her?
I didn't say nothing.
Did you want to go back?
No,
Why didn't you tell her no?
I don't know why.
Sorry?
I don't know why.
Okay. So you go back to the house?
Yeah.
What happens then? Well, let's break that down. You go back to the house. Do you go into the house?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you go into the house instead of Hosanna?
I don't know why she told me to go in there, but she told me to go in there and light everything on fire and to kill the dog.
Did you ask her for her to come with you?
No,
Why not?
I was just listening to what she was saying.
Okay, so you go back into the house. What do you do with the dog?
I put him in the backyard
Why?
because I didn't want anything bad to happen to him or her.
How did you put the dog in the backyard?
Ask and answer.
I'll sustain that objection.
I think I asked how, not what.
It says, I put him in the backyard. Why? Because I didn't want anything to happen to him or her. Oh, I'm sorry. Your question was, how did you put the dog in the backyard? Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Go ahead, Mr. Hio, if you'll re-ask that question.
Thank you. How did you put the dog in the backyard?
I just tapped my leg, and he.
The reason I ask if that's helpful is looking at, right, when we're looking at the diagram of the house, did you have to go through the garage to put the dog outside?
Yeah.
Where was the dog when you were in the house, if you remember?
I really don't remember.
That's okay. When you put the dog outside in the garage, do you do anything else in the garage?
No.
Do you close the door?
Yeah, and I locked it.
Why'd you lock it?
I don't know why I locked it. I have no answer for that.
Okay. Okay, what happens when you go back inside the house?
I got stuck in the living room again.
Tell me what you mean by stuck.
Like I was coming back in, and I had came in through like where the garage is at, and I could just from the distance just already see him, you know.
How did it make you feel to see him?
I was just, I don't know.
What happened after you went back in through the garage and saw him in the living room?
I went to the living room.
What did you do in there?
I stood in the doorway of the that separates the kitchen and the living room.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I just looked at him for a while, and I had swore that he was like moving, but I think it was just my nerves getting in the way of what I was seeing. Because with that, like, I'm not sure if he was or he wasn't, you know? But
Did you touch him?
no, I did not.
So what did you do?
I opened up the water bottles, and I just threw them to the side.
When you said you just threw them, did you just open up the caps and just toss the bottles themselves?
Yeah.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
What happened after that?
I grabbed a piece of paper,
From where?
the kitchen table.
Do you remember what kind of paper this was?
No.
What did you do with it?
I lit it on fire.
How did you light the paper on fire?
With the lighter.
Sorry. With a lighter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What did you do with the paper after you lit it with the lighter?
It burned like halfway, and it was like a pretty long piece of paper.
Okay.
So it burned like halfway, and then I just threw it to the floor.
You threw it to the floor?
Mm-hmm.
Was this by Mr. Dickerson?
It was more or less like in.
Would it help to look at this?
Well, yeah, it was kind of like against like the wall.
What wall? Like over here? Or were you in a bedroom?
Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at it wrong.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know why I thought that was the kitchen. I should.
That's okay. That's okay. So this is the living room, right?
Yeah.
And you by this wall?
Yeah. Well, I was like right here and I had thrown my just. Yeah, I had to.
Okay, you just threw it from this area?
Yeah, I was like honestly just like around.
Did you stand there for a little bit longer after you threw it, or what happened?
No, when I had stood there is when I just had it in my hand, and that's why it got to the point of half of it being the paper being on fire. Then
Sorry, and then the paper was on fire, and what was that last part?
yeah, that's when I threw it on the floor.
Okay. What did you do after you threw it on the floor?
I left.
Just outside, just the front door.
Yeah,
Now, is that what we saw on the surveillance?
yeah, it is.
Did you just walk down to the car?
Yeah,
Why didn't you run?
I don't know why I did it.
Were you even thinking about the fact you were walking?
Objection waiting.
I honestly don't even.
And
Sorry, Ms.
Ms. Rodriguez, when there's an objection, I got to. I'll allow the question. Ms. Rodriguez, you can answer.
Did you even think about the fact you were walking?
No. Thank you.
So tell me, you get back into the car. Does anything happen between you and Hosanna in the car?
She asked me if I killed the dog.
What did you tell her?
I told her yeah.
You told her yeah? Why did you lie to her?
I don't know. I don't know why I did.
You don't know why? Okay.
No.
Where did you all go once you left?
We left to my brother's house.
Was this at Miguel's house?
Yeah.
And what did you do there?
We took my truck, but it wasn't to switch cars. It's because the car is not mine, so I wanted to give, obviously it's to give it back, you know? Like, I'm not gonna be driving around just in my mom's car, you know? Because she had told me to only use it for a little bit.
Because what?
She had said to use it for a little bit.
When your mom told you to use it for a little bit, was the idea of just that night?
She always just says that, but at the moment, it kind of just happened. Like, I don't really think, like, the whole thing that's being, like, perceived about that situation, like, we didn't do that to, like, there was, like, no motive behind switching the cars. It's just the fact that the car is mine. There's no motive behind that, you know?
Okay. So you get into your truck, and then where do you guys go?
She kind of just started, we parked around the corner.
Of what? Of Miguel's?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what did you do?
She said, "Why are you acting like that?"
What do you think she meant by that?
I don't know.
You don't know? How were you acting?
I wasn't looking at her.
Were you angry with her?
No.
Did you have like an emotional response?
I feel like I did, at that moment, I just wanted to be by myself. Like,
Why didn't you stay at your brother's house?
I don't know.
Okay. So you guys park around the corner in the Tahoe, and then what happens?
That was only for like 1 minute, and then we just, we left. And, like, I don't remember, like, the drive over there. Like, that part is just, I don't know. But she went to, so there's this one place in front of the Cosme is called Almanzas, but the one that we went to was Almancitas.
Okay. And is that kind of close?
It was close to, not close to his house, but it's like a long road down, straight down.
Okay. Why did you go there?
I don't know why she went there.
And I mean, it's a food place, right?
Yeah.
Like fast food?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you get anything to eat?
I told her I wasn't hungry, and she just got food.
Did you eat anything?
No.
So after Almanzitas, where do you go? What do you do?
She went to pass by
She went to Best Buy.
his house.
Sorry, she went to Best Buy by where?
Pass by.
Oh, pass by his
Yeah.
house. Okay, I apologize. Okay. Why?
I don't know.
Who was driving?
She was driving the Tahoe.
When you guys went to the drive by the house, what did you see?
There was a lot of cops.
Was there ever a point when you're driving by and you see a bunch of cops and they're looking at the house that you just lit on fire? Did you ever say, we should go talk to them and tell them what happened?
No.
Okay. So after you drove by Mr. Dickerson's house, what did you do?
I just looked.
Yeah.
And I kind of just shook my head like, what are we gonna do, you know?
You what?
I just shook my head and just thought, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. What do you mean by what are we gonna do?
We're both there, like, more in a sense me, but I was like, I didn't say it out loud, but I just thought it.
Okay.
Like, what's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what to do at that moment.
Hosanna had said a lot of things, I guess, when she was testifying, and she said that you told her you had killed people before. Do you remember hearing that?
Yeah.
Is that true?
No, it's not.
She said that you knew to light a fire and burn things because that's going to be the best way to get rid of evidence. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever joke with Hosanna of the fact that you've killed people before?
No.
What happened on October 3rd, was that the first time that you had ever been in a situation like that?
Yeah.
Did you know how to act?
No.
Did you light his house on fire to try to get away with this?
No. I think I just followed Sue because she seemed like she was in control of the situation, like she knew what to do. I feel like I just had no idea, you know?
When you went back into the house and had it lit on fire, was your intention to destroy any evidence?
That's not, no.
Okay.
I mean, like, obviously while doing that, I knew the fire was gonna happen, but that, like, I didn't have any, like, intentions behind it, you know, like, that probably just,
Yeah. Stacy, did you want to kill Mr. Dickerson that night?
no,
Did you have a plan to do this?
no,
Did you take a moment to think about it and then act upon that?
no,
Did you ever think that maybe at one point in the night when you were starting to get uncomfortable that maybe this would happen?
no.
Okay. let's move on to what happened later in the morning of the 3rd, okay? So after you left Amancitas, where do you go?
She drove to pass by the house.
Right after the house, where did you guys go?
She just was frustrated and she started like kind of driving kind of crazy to her grandma's house.
Where does her grandma live? Do you remember what kind of area?
I don't remember the exact like streets, but there's like an apartment complex across the street.
From where?
Her grandma's.
Okay. Do you remember like kind of the area in Greeley where her grandma was at, or the apartment complex is?
I don't know what side that is,
That's okay. Okay.
but there's apartments called The Verge, and there's like a moose lounge where they usually like do quinceañeras or like bingo, and then there's a post office too before that.
Okay. So what do you do when you get to her grandma's house?
We get off the car and go inside.
Okay. What do you do inside?
Go into this extra room that her grandma has.
Do you talk to anybody?
No,
Is her grandma home?
I'm not sure. At that moment,
Yeah. Okay. So you go into the extra room. What do you do in the extra room?
I kind of sat at the edge.
Of the bed?
Yeah.
Do you guys talk about what just happened?
She's like just looking at me, and she said, "Go wash your hands."
Did you?
I just sat there for a while, and I was like, "Where? Who?" Like, you know?
Yeah.
She was like, "Come on, hurry up," you know? Like irritated, 'cause she was already frustrated when we had passed the house, you know? And she turned on the water in the restroom.
Sorry, she turned on the water and what?
In the restroom.
Okay. And then what happened?
She said, "Put soap on your hands." So I pumped soap, and the water was all the way hot. But I was washing my hands for a while, then it started to burn my hands. And I had backed away. She was like, that I needed to use the hot water.
Did you clean yourself up?
Somewhat, I guess.
What did you do after that?
We went back to the room.
Did you go to sleep?
No,
Why not?
because I couldn't.
Why not?
Because I kept thinking about it.
Did you have any other kind of physical reaction that night to what had happened?
No, I just wanted to be with my mom.
Why didn't you go to your mom?
Because I knew she wouldn't let me.
Hosanna wouldn't let you?
Yeah. It was always a thing when I wanted to leave, you know?
I think this is a proper time for a limiting instruction, Judge.
I think we already gave it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the limiting instruction that I gave you previously regarding prior acts of abuse, that limiting instruction will be in place through all the testimony that you hear.
Okay. Did you ever get sick again that night?
Yeah.
Was this at Hosanna's grandma's house?
Yeah.
Do you think this was because you were drunk?
No, it's because I had anxiety.
Judge, calls for speculation.
Give me just a second. I'll overrule the objection and let the witnesses' answer stand.
So you got sick again that night. Stacy, I want to talk about those Facebook messages between you and your brother, okay?
Okay.
So, do you remember messaging him on Facebook on August 30th, 2021?
I don't remember the exact date, but
When you reviewed the content of these, did it seem like this is a conversation you had?
yes,
Do you remember this conversation with him?
I do.
So I want to kind of go through that. Sorry, October 30th. Apologies. So October 30th, 2021. Yes. So you messaged him, or did you message him and say, I feel like I'm done?
Yeah, I did.
If you need to look at this, just let me know.
Okay.
And you told him, I feel like I'm done, and then said, like dealing with problems. Is that right?
Yeah.
And did Ernesto ask you, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And you said, like, I just want to be happy, but I can't, ...
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you mean by just can't? Like, why couldn't you be happy?
I feel like that night, like, I feel like mentally, like, it had impacted me a lot, you know? Like, it was, like, obviously not something everybody goes through, you know, so I had no idea how to cope with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't know.
You then told him, I feel like I just don't have no one. I'm literally going through the hardest part of my life, and I don't know if I want to keep going. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
When you were saying this, was this about what had happened with Mr. Dickerson?
Yeah, but he doesn't know that I was talking about that.
Okay. So Ernesto doesn't know what had happened.
No.
You're telling him, and maybe we'll get there. I want to keep going, and then I think we can kind of come back to Ernesto not knowing, okay?
Okay.
You said, I feel like I want comfort. Hosanna gives it to me, but I don't want it from her. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah.
Is this kind of what we're talking about? Or tell me why you didn't want it from Hosanna.
Well, I said that so that he wouldn't be like, well, because before that message, he was like, that was Spanish word that means and your girlfriend. Like,
Yeah.
But it's just in Spanish. But obviously I didn't want to make her look bad, you know, so I had to say that, but I wasn't getting that
You weren't
from
getting
her. No, but I just didn't want to make her look bad.
You had just testified that, you know, seeing Hosanna, you had kind of tried to distance yourself because seeing her, looking at her kind of brought you back to what, you know, had happened on October 3rd.
Yeah.
Did that have any kind of play into why you didn't want comfort from her?
Well, she started getting like worse in a sense, you know, like, so we had always got into stuff, like she'd always like act some type of way with me, and then she started, it like drastically like increased after that.
Okay.
Like she was just angry, you know, all
So
the time.
after October 3rd, you said she just got a little bit more angry?
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish these and then we can kind of talk about that a little bit. Said, I feel like I want to comfort, but Hosanna gives it to me, but I don't want it from her. You then say, I think that thing I did is getting to me now. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And then you said, before Ernesto responds, like the guilt and regret. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then you say, and I can't even talk to no one about it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And Ernesto responds with just, oh.
Yeah, he's kind of like, he's like a neutral guy. He kind of, you talk to him, he's just like, okay, oh, all right, you know, like he listens, but he doesn't really like respond. Like he just goes with the flow type of guy.
Okay. When you said, I think the thing I did is getting to me now, did anybody know about the thing that you were talking about?
No.
Did you find it weird when he didn't ask you what you meant?
He's just like that.
Okay.
Like that's his personality.
What did you mean when you said, I think that thing I did is getting to me now?
I was talking about him.
Why? mean, so this is October 30th. We're talking about October 3rd. Did it take that long?
What?
Did it take October 3rd to October 30th for it to kind of come to the forefront for you of this might be too much for me to deal with?
It was like, obviously, like every day when you continue, like, and it just continues to like be in your head, you know, like you start to get over it. But no, like it was like that the whole time.
Okay. You said, I just want to be alone, but I can't even be at my place. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you be at your place?
Cause Hosanna had got kicked out.
Is that when she got evicted?
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you staying?
With my sister-in-law.
And so did you just not consider that to be your place?
No, I didn't really have that feeling, you know?
Okay. You said, I miss my life, right?
Yeah.
When you said, I miss my life, I think, on its face, it sounds like we can guess what that is, but what exactly were you missing?
Just like how everything was before Hosanna and like before all that happened, like just like being at my house and stuff.
You said, well, Ernesto had messaged you and was like, well, just relax. Shit happens. It happened for a reason, dog. Take a deep breath. Try to sleep. Rest.
Yeah.
Again, does he just kind of respond this way?
Yeah, that's just.
Objection calls for speculation.
Give me just a second. I'll sustain the objection.
When you would try to have conversations with Ernesto before, is this pretty general for him?
Yes, that's exactly.
Objection, Judge.
All right. I'll sustain the objection.
Your Honor, I think she can say she knows Ernesto. She knows how he responds. I don't think it's speculation.
It's also hearsay, Judge.
All right. I'll sustain the objection. Move on, please.
You say in response to that, I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see him, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean by him?
I was meaning Christopher.
Christopher? Okay. But I want to move on to after November, after you were arrested and you were in the Weld County Jail, okay?
Okay.
We talked a lot about letters.
Judge, may we approach?
Sure.
Stacy, we had left off when you were at Hosanna's grandmother's house, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we had talked about you puking there as well.
Yeah.
I want to talk just generally about you leaving Mr. Dickerson's home with Hosanna, kind of getting stuck on him, those kinds of feelings, okay? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the term, like a fight or flight response before?
No.
No. Okay. If you haven't heard the term, have you heard of people say, some people react in a situation where they are going to leave, we are out of here, and some people react in a situation where they're gonna stay? It's like the flight to leave or the fight to stay.
Objection, compound question.
Mr. Hill, that was a little bit confusing. Can you just re-ask the question?
Yes, I can. Okay, so fight or flight response means that somebody is either kind of on the spectrum of they want to leave a situation, or somebody else might feel, the need to, they want to stay and like fight it out, right? Fight or flight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And have you heard of the like fight, flight, or freeze?
No.
No? Okay. The freeze, right, is maybe in the middle of that.
And-
Testifying, Judge.
And Mr. Hill, I'm going to sustain that objection. If you want to rephrase in a way that.
I can rephrase. If someone were to freeze, would it sound like to you that they just don't really know what to do?
Yes.
When we're thinking of this fight, flight, or freeze, where do you think you fall within that on what happened?
The last one.
The freeze?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go into now some of the things that Hosanna had said that you did in the house, okay?
Yeah.
She told Detective Burrows and then told the jury that after you had stabbed Mr. Dickerson, that you licked his blood. Did that happen?
No, it didn't.
How did you feel when you heard that?
Objection, relevant.
I'll allow the question.
How did you feel when you heard that?
Confused.
Yeah. She also said, well, why confused?
Because that didn't happen. So I didn't know why she was saying that.
She also said that you appeared to her as glowing. Were you happy after this had happened?
No.
Were you excited?
No.
How did it make you feel when she described it like that?
My honest opinion,
Yes, please.
like she was trying to secure her freedom.
What do you mean by that?
Like she was like saying, like initially anything to like make me look bad,
Make you look bad?
to like secure that.
To benefit her in her proffer, or no? Is that not what we're talking about?
Yeah, that too. Like that's her freedom.
Okay. So I think we just had, before the break, had talked about you being in jail, right?
Yeah.
And so this was November 2021. Did you write a letter in jail that you intended to keep private?
Yeah.
Was this a letter to your attorneys at the time?
Yes.
I suppose I wasn't your attorney at the time, was I?
No.
But did you write a letter kind of explaining what had happened on October 3rd?
Yes.
Why did you write that?
I wrote it because I wanted them to know what happened, but I feel like I couldn't like say it like in person. Like I feel like my anxiety would get in the way a lot. So I was like, if I just write it and give it to them, like that would just be better.
Okay. Do you remember around the time you wrote this after your arrest on November 11th?
Yeah.
Do you remember what month it was, or?
When I wrote the note? No.
Okay.
It was at the beginning when I first had got here.
Okay, so the first few months.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when you wrote this letter, besides or in addition to you wanting your attorneys to have it?
I wanted it to be known what really happened.
Why was that important to you?
Because for one, it felt right. Second, like it should be out there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like regardless, like I know what I did, you know, but it should be out there, you know, like
Yeah. Okay. Were you ever able to give this letter to your attorneys?
no.
Why not?
We had a shakedown in our unit and they confiscated it.
I want to talk about the letter a little bit in some detail, okay? If you need to see it, just let me know. You start off, or do you start off the letter kind of explaining how you came out of Cubetas?
Yes.
And then do you explain that you were kind of driving around looking for an after party?
Objection, leading.
Give me just a second. Given the concerns the court has noted with prior rulings and the other discussions that we have regarding that issue, I am, Mr. Hill, going to give you some leeway regarding the language, and then so go ahead and proceed. I'll overrule the objection.
Okay. right, Ms. Rodriguez, I'm going to show you this letter, okay? Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, I think maybe if you just want to read that. Do you feel comfortable reading that? Do you want me to read it? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Judge, can we just approach it?
Sure.
The contents of the letter. When you were writing this, was there a specific reason why you wanted to write it now or then?
I kind of I was at the point where like I just wanted to tell somebody, you know, like, so I was attempting to do just that.
Okay. At one point, the letter kind of stops. Was there a reason why?
Yeah.
Tell us that.
So like before, like I got to like where I stopped, I kind of had like I don't want to say like a mental breakdown, but like something along that, like I just started like getting emotional and stuff like that. So I stopped.
Okay. You said getting emotional, so you stopped.
Yeah.
Why did that make you stop?
Because I was crying. I couldn't even see.
Okay. Do you cry easily?
No.
Did you ever go back and try to finish this letter?
Yeah, but it was hard.
Why?
But I think just honestly, just like like what happened that night, just like in general, is hard to talk about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Especially to, like when I was gonna give that letter to my last lawyer, it was like, it was hard, like, cause I didn't know her, you know? So there's just like a lot of things that played into it.
Was trust one of them?
Yeah.
I want to talk about that trust a little bit. What was your concern having maybe a lack of trust but sharing your story? Can you kind of explain that a little bit, please?
Honestly, I didn't trust, like in a sense, saying anything, but I wanted to say what really happened, because obviously I don't want to be perceived as this person that I'm not, you know? But at the same time, like, I was scared, and I also, like, had, like, trust issues with saying, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's kind of keep on this idea of some jail letters, okay?
Okay.
I want to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 219. And I'm also going to show you what's been marked as People's 220. Let's start with 219. Do you remember when the prosecution had talked about that with Ms. Varela throughout this trial?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that exhibit, the first one that you're looking at, is this the one that seems to be written on toilet paper that says flush underneath?
Yeah.
Okay. Generally, while you were in jail, did you write letters to Hosanna?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And Hosanna had talked about, I'm not sure if she used this word, but a keep sep. So you two were supposed to be kept separately. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I have the physical ones I have. That's okay. Okay, so you would write her letters. Were you supposed to be writing her letters?
No, I was not.
How did you how did you write her letters? How would that go down?
People would just pass them.
Does this just kind of happen in the jail?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people do that.
Okay. Did you receive letters from Hosanna when you were in jail?
Yeah,
Where did those go?
kind of just toss them in the trash. Like I just see no point in having all kinds of papers in my bag.
Okay. Let's talk about the one that's written on the toilet paper.
Yeah,
Did you write this letter?
no, I didn't.
This might be weird to ask, but how do you know you didn't write it?
Because, I mean, I know what I wrote. The letters I would write her were like real brief, like, I love you, or like, keep your head up, like basic stuff. They won't be more than a couple sentences.
Okay. Looking at that letter, we've got the turbo muffler. Was that a nickname for Hosanna?
Yeah.
Did you give her that nickname?
We kind of came up with it together. That was like a funny thing.
Did other people call her that in the jail?
No.
Then we're looking at, some of this other stuff. Do you also circle your eyes sometimes?
Yeah, I do.
So instead of a dot, it's a circle.
Yeah.
Tell us about Baby Joker. Is that your nickname?
They started calling me that when I like first came into the jail.
Who's they?
These girls.
Okay. So it's just a nickname?
Yeah.
Did you have this before you were in the jail?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to take this for a moment. Does some of the stuff in here sound like things you might say,
Yeah.
such as the nicknames?
I wouldn't really. Yeah.
Would you call her Turbo Muffler?
Yeah.
Okay. You use LOL sometimes?
Yeah, I do.
And in this letter, you call her Babe. Would you often refer to her as Babe?
Yeah.
And in this letter, it reads that, I know they're going to trick you, but if you ain't see or do or hear anything, you're cool, okay? Did you want Hosanna to save herself at one point?
I wouldn't necessarily save herself, but I was gonna take accountability for what I've done and what I did, you know?
Did you ever convey that to her?
Not really. She would kind of like get frustrated every time like the topic would even like come up, so I would just leave it.
Okay. So this letter that we have, you did not write,
No, I did not.
even though it sounds like something you could have written.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're testifying under oath? Yes? Okay. And you're saying it's not you?
It's not.
But the letter that we talked about before that you wrote in the jail to your lawyers, that is one you wrote.
Yeah.
Let's look at these other ones. Stacy, have you seen these before?
Yeah.
In Discovery?
In Discovery, yes.
Did you write these letters?
No.
I want to go over some details with them, with you. Would it be helpful for me to do it here or to do it back over there?
Whichever way.
Okay.
And Mr. Hill, I'm sorry, just for the record, can you just say the number of that one that you're
Yes,
referring to?
220.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So there's a sticky note up here, and I think it's already come out through trial that Hosanna's lawyers had provided this to Detective Burrows. And so they are suggesting that this happened sometime in February 2022. Does that make sense from what you've read in Discovery?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to show you actually just one part up here. See this sticky note?
Yeah.
Can you see that date?
What
This one right here.
is that? 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this number right here.
Yeah.
So the date on this sticky note itself says 5/12/2022, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it goes on to read jail note from Stacy to Hosanna, written and delivered sometime in February 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a few things in the letters. When you looked at them, you saw that sometimes the I's were circled,
Yeah.
and that's usually what you do.
Yes. Okay.
There were some kind of maybe like words of phrase or terms of phrase that you use as such as LOL.
Yeah.
Something along the lines of "hoes be thirsty." Can you see yourself saying something like that?
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay. When you would write Hosanna, were they this long?
No,
Why?
because I mean, every time it happened, like you don't really get. I don't like. I really wouldn't take too much time into doing it. I feel like it was just like real brief. Like,
Why wouldn't you put in more time?
I don't know. I just I felt some type of way, so I didn't want to engage in that a lot.
Okay. What do you mean you felt some type of way?
I was going through my like obviously like how I felt at that time. Like about the whole situation, and it was like impacting like my whole daily thing. Like it had been before that, but it was like I feel like I would like more think about it now, which is like I was focused on like I didn't care about nothing else.
When you were in jail?
Yeah.
Why did that shift for you?
I don't know why.
Okay. Just did?
It was just like, well, I had always felt like that, but it was just like I even like while being out there, like after that had recently happened, I didn't want to talk to her. Like, yeah.
When you were in jail and you were sending her notes, were you still in love with her or loved her?
Yeah.
Do you still have those feelings toward her now?
I wouldn't. Can I explain? I wouldn't necessarily say that I still have feelings or I'm in love with her still, because I know that I'm not. But I am, in a sense, like grateful that I was able to feel like that emotion towards somebody, like genuinely.
Yeah. Okay. At the end of one of these notes on the yellow papers, at the very bottom, it says Baby Joker. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do.
Did you write that?
No.
And Stacy, did you ever receive letters from Hosanna in jail?
Yeah.
How would you get them?
So do I explain the whole thing?
Yes, please.
So when we first got to the jail, they would like obviously like we couldn't be in the same pod, not only because we had a keep set, but it's because we're co-defendants, we had a restraining order. So they would like usually the person that's in general population knows when they're leaving first. Another person's like out of the pod in a different pod by themselves. So they would switch us back and forth like and this is just one of the reasons.
Okay.
They would switch us back and forth every, I want to say like 3 to 4 months. So they tell the other person, they give you like a good hour. So you already know, so that's a way to like, we would switch out and there would be like a note waiting for me. And they'll be like with like her ex-roommate or like another female in the pod. And yeah. And then also like when you get moved to the other pod where you're by yourself, so the jail goes by classifications. There's 4. And obviously with our charges, we're a higher classification. And certain people are able to reclass down, So they go from the max pod to other pods. And so you always know, you can always like go ask the guard when is your reclass date. So they would go from the max pod to over there, like already knowing their date. And I assume she would like ask them and like figure out, like she was pretty smart.
You said Hosanna was smart.
With that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. So that's kind of how you get them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about some photos here that have been previously admitted. I kind of want to shift gears. I want to move on from the letters, move on from October 2nd and 3rd, and kind of talk more generally, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as defense UU, VV, and WW. Okay? WW. Yes. Do you know what those photos show?
Yeah.
What did they show?
Me with my face covered in blood.
Is this what Karen had testified to earlier today?
Yeah.
Was this from about May 2021?
Yeah.
Now, those are Snapchat photos. Did you take those of yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened? How'd you get those injuries?
Me and Hosanna had gone to an argument, and I was just trying to leave, like, and then she started to like hit me.
Sorry?
She started to hit me
How was she hitting you?
with a closed fist.
Why?
She was mad.
About what?
I don't know. This happened a lot, so I'm like,
Okay.
but yeah.
So when that happened, did you leave?
Yeah, I did. I ran.
You what?
I ran.
Ran. Where'd you run to?
Karen's cousin's house.
And was this all in the same apartment complex, whether or not it be different buildings?
Yeah, so I had it was pretty far.
Were these the
Not
Verge?
far. No, I don't remember what they're called.
But more up on 23rd, right?
Yeah, the one in front of the middle school.
Heath?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I want to kind of, with this in mind, go over some of the things that Hosanna said that you did to her and the reasons why she didn't feel like she could have gone to the police and said what happened because of that, okay?
Mm.
I don't know if the court wants to remind of the limiting instruction or it's how you want to discuss this with the past testimony.
I will remind the jury the limiting instruction that I read earlier regarding prior acts of abuse between Ms. Varela and Ms. Rodriguez will apply when those acts are discussed throughout the trial.
Okay. I'm going to try to be linear of some of these events, okay? If you get confused, just let me know.
Okay.
I mean, kind of like going in a straight line, one after the other.
Okay, I was like,
I know.
yeah.
Okay. So, the Clarion Hotel. Let's start there.
Yes.
Was that the first night that you guys were intimate and it kind of put a shift in your relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Was Hosanna pretty drunk that night?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you go to the Clarion?
happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you try to take her home first?
Yeah, I did try to take her home.
And what happened?
She was not wanting to. Like,
Okay.
I was like, well, we got there, and I was like, well, I dropped her off like right in front of the gate. I was like, there you go, you know? I was like, have a good night. And then she was like, no. And I was like, why do you need help walking up? And she was like, no. And she just kept like playing dumb, and I was kind of like, okay, all right, you know? And then so I had went to Karen's cousin's. I parked outside and I was calling her for a while, and I was like, hey, texting her. I was like, hey, do you know where this girl is? Because I just need somebody to come get her, you know? Like,
Okay.
and then, yeah, she was at work, so she didn't answer. So I was going to take her to my mom's house.
Fair. So did you get a room at the Clarion?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And when you were going up to the room, did something happen with Hosanna?
I was drunk, so I didn't know that until I read the police report.
Okay. What happened with Hosanna?
I guess she fell like on the walk to the room.
Okay. Did you see her fall?
I don't remember. I was drunk, so I don't remember.
Okay. Nothing physical happened between you. Well, this was the first time you were intimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But nothing physical, like physical abuse happened between you guys that night.
No.
Okay. Okay. So moving on to April 2021. Hosanna had said it was around her birthday and you hit her with a car. Did you ever hit her with a car?
No.
Did anything ever happen around her birthday in April 2021 that would have caused an argument between you two?
No.
Do you ever remember her getting out of a car and being angry and something happened?
No.
Okay. Do you have any idea where that came from when she said that?
I have no idea.
Okay. We talked earlier about August 2021 when you took her to the hospital for the black eye, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And she said that she had been jumped, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to the summer of 2021. Hosanna had said that you drove a car into the grass, that she was thinking about her options. She said she took off her shoes, took off running from you, that you chased her in the car, that you hit her by the car, and she went flying and ended up being pinned against a fence. Did this happen?
No, it did not.
Was there ever a time where maybe you were arguing and she gets out of the car and wants to leave?
No.
When she said this, did it strike or like make you remember of anything that maybe happened between the two of you once?
No.
Okay. Had the police ever contacted you about hitting her with a car?
No.
Okay. Okay. October 17th, 2021, she had said that she sent a text message to Javi. Hosanna sent a text message to Javi saying, I'm scared to leave her. She told me if I go with anyone else, it's not just you anymore. It's on them too. So choose wisely who you'll be with. Did you do that to her?
No.
Did you ever threaten for her not to go to be with anybody else?
No, I did not.
And we talked earlier about the October 25th, 2021 argument where she says, you know, you cut off her clothes and poured water on her. We talked about that earlier, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And Mr. Hio, in about 3 or 4 minutes, I'll need to call you guys up, but if there's a better stopping point before then, just feel free to let me know.
we could do that now.
Okay. Why don't you guys go ahead and come up?